All right, here's some life advice. Well, not life advice. This is a really good social tool that I've been developing recently. I think you'll all appreciate it. We've all seen the internet meme where like somebody gets upset and they right? It's like, you know, you can find a video, you can find the original video, it's animated. Right. Well, okay, so we've been watching a recent playthrough of a guy who says he just says the word, and it's great for comedic effect. Wilburger, indeed. And several years ago, I was watching Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe, and I had heard that piggies have a really unnerving yell because they sound like humans when they yell. And I was like, this is just like an old world like myth, whatever. So he goes and he picks up this pig, and it goes, it sounds like a person yelling. And I have since adopted that to everyday life, so stick with me here. You can use this in everyday conversation, and it is incredibly useful. It's like emojis or hieroglyphs, right? You can express a much more complex thought than simply using English words. Now, Genevieve, like say something nice to me, and I'll show you how you. Something nice? Yeah, say something nice. Like, your hair looks nice today. All right. In agreement. Now, say something that is true but might be tough for me to stomach. You know, I don't know. Just like I feel trapped. I don't think there's a good way for me in this. Now, say something like really mean, like something I really is good. Yeah, I know. I don't feel comfortable now. See how it perfectly encompasses the whole spectrum of like emoticons? Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. So, you know,
in no way could you do that with any other vowel. Yeah. Definitely not.
It's not possible.
It doesn't have the same.
I am agreeing with you, Bill. I am agreeing with you.
Agree.
Okay, everybody, to the show. Here's another episode of Two Guns, No Ammunition. I'm Billy Two Guns. We are No Ammunition. We are going to get started with a quick mic identifier. Today, I begin my tour of Roly-Doby. I have a game to announce today and a game to announce tomorrow. And I'm going to announce it in a duck suit. Go ahead, yeah.
Wait, are you really?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
And I'm Chris, and I'm currently playing Apex Legends, and there's a robot character in there, and I named him after the movie Chappie, but I named him Chapree.
Amazing.
Wait, what is this robo-dick called?
He's the Pathfinder.
You didn't call his dick Chapstick?
Well,
Chap's dick? Come on.
Chapree.
Yeah, but...
Genevieve.
I'm Genevieve, and I'm going to have to figure out how to disinfect a duck suit because I think the last person who wore it had pink eye.
I asked about this.
Okay.
I said specifically, someone might need to wear it, and I don't want to get the pink of eye, or the eye of pink. And they're like, it's totally clean. You're little actually.
Totally.
Okay.
Interesting. Maybe Bill will end up with Pink Bill.
Ooh.
As in duck.
Pinkery.
So I'm Frank. The only time that I've ever seen the re used was probably after something racist and or sexist on the internet.
Not both.
Yeah, memes. Probably both.
Are you saying autists are racist and sexist?
No.
No.
Maybe.
I'm not,
Are you saying everyone on the internet is autist?
we're not going for the autist.
Yes, I am.
Okay, that is its own standalone. We're going for the pig-re. Yeah. Pigs. We need to be closer to our animal brethren. That's all I'm saying.
I'd say that's a fair spin.
I mean, I eat them, so can't I not get any closer? I mean, I eat lots of bacon.
Don't eat.
I think you need to get closer.
Don't you eat a lot of pussy too?
To repent what?
Well, yeah.
But they're in my stomach. They are within. They are within me.
Now he just eats bussy. My name is Jake, and this is episode 75.
Whoa!
We have not been here for a little while. Y'all may have noticed. All 6 of you. Some life events.
Don't embellish. It's okay.
Some life events. There was Mother's Day. There was Frank and my vacation. There was a week where just after that vacation, where we were like, "Fuck it," and now we're here.
Yeah.
Yay!
Wait, did we skip another week too?
I think
Has it been a month?
We
The
sk-
week
it has been a
before.
whole month
Oh my
because
God.
Long ass time.
last week somebody had to do it yourself projects at a house he doesn't own.
I was helping.
Chris.
I'm a male in the house, so I get to do male things.
Like when you walk in the door, you become male.
Yeah,
okay.
Chris, you need to subvert gender expectations. Okay?
I really do.
Yeah, be
Show
a
up and paint your
useless piece of
nails.
garbage.
I should tell my roommate equality, bitch.
Just show up and paint your nails.
Just start wearing a tutu.
I
So-
do have
Yes,
life
that-
advice.
The thing that
what
all
all
females
women
wear.
Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Life advice from Frank.
Yes, life advice from Frank.
Charge your
Very true,
batteries.
Last week, I made a terrible mistake. And, well, there was actually 2 independently excellent decisions. Right?
That made a horrible mistake?
Yes.
Or okay, all right.
So the first one was I had to go to the mall to buy a bunch of shit for this new place that I'm moving to. And when I walked in the food court and there's a Chick-fil-A there. Unfortunately, I wasn't hungry enough, but I can't walk by a Chick-fil-A and not get something, right? It's
Sure.
a compulsion.
Yeah.
So I got a milkshake, right? Walked around, bought a bunch of shit while drinking my milkshake and had to somehow drive a cart with one hand and also drinking the milkshake, which was difficult. I forgot about that milkshake about 2 hours later when I came home and I proceeded to drink 3 IPAs.
Oh no.
And about 2 a.m, I woke up and it felt like somebody was taking a bicycle pump and inflating air into my colon. And then I had to sit on the toilet and drink Pepto-Bismol for about 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
And then I finally felt good enough to go back to sleep. Fast forward to this Friday,
Oh no.
and I go and I'm putting stuff together and cleaning up some shit in the new place, which I've actually moved into mostly by this point. And on the way back, I drive by Wawa, and I'm like, oh, it's Siptopia. I can get a $2 smoothie. And I walk in, I'm like, oh my God, Wawa has milkshakes.
Oh no.
Surely you would think I would be smart enough not to drink beer after drinking that milkshake. And surely you would be wrong. And surely at about 2 a.m, I had the same exact feeling and felt like absolute dog shit for like several hours overnight, to the point I was in some of the worst pain I've ever been in with my colon trying to digest simultaneously multiple beers and a milkshake from Wawa. People don't... I did it 2 weeks in a row. Do not think you can drink a milkshake and then suck down some heavy beer
I don't know.
afterwards.
It
This
only
episode is
happened.
brought to you by Pepto-Bismol.
It only happened to you twice. Can we be sure that there's a
I
pattern
need
here?
it. Yeah, there's
3 does make a pattern.
I could try it next Friday.
One more time.
I mean,
Let you
one-
know
need to
how
work
it
some
goes.
other-
time.
Maybe it's just Fridays. Maybe it's just Fridays you can't do it.
Yeah,
try it
we
on a
need to.
weekday.
You do it on like a Tuesday.
There you go.
But months ago, we reviewed several fast food milkshakes: McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and there was one more. Was it
There was
Wendy's?
DQ,
DQ
BK, and McDanks. Yeah.
and McDanks, and then also we've had Chick-fil-A before, so we didn't need to. All right. I'm gonna add Wawa to that list as like slightly below Chick-fil-A, but pretty much just as good.
Where's Chick-fil-A in the order? I've never
Top.
had a Chick-fil-A. What?
Yeah, definitely the best.
Oh, shit.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
We gotta go.
Have I told you guys
The
about
cookies and cream, fam.
I did mention the DQ. It's the only one you can still get a big ass milkshake, right? Like
They're pretty big if you go for the large at Chick-fil-A.
right.
The only problem is I think the larges are like $6.
worth
Now
it.
at Wawa, this is what might tip the scale in favor of Wawa. Their milkshakes, well, they're just not quite as high quality as the Chick-fil-A ones in terms of the ice cream they put in there. It is ever so slightly behind. But during Siptopia, it's $2 for a small and $3 for a large. And the larges are big. They're
wait.
24
You're talking
ounces.
about ones that they make? I just know those machines that.
No, yeah, ones that Wawa themselves
At
make.
the counter. when
Yeah.
you go
Oh
in.
shit!
Uh-huh,
I've
they
never
made the
even.
order.
I've never even tried
I think
this.
they're new for like this Siptopia. I recommend you try one on your way home tonight. You will not be disappointed.
I can only
You can also
survive.
hit
It
up,
turns out
Royal Farms down in Dover.
I can only survive like one milkshake event per month. I found now as I get older, my body's like, what are you doing? And it's similar to you. I don't mix it with beer, and I'm still paying the price. 2 days later. But milkshakes are just so goddamn good. So, that is interesting. You keep us posted. Keep us posted on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th time that you try that mixture. And then maybe
I await your official report.
maybe we can
and
truly
results.
spot a trend.
People, please don't make the same mistakes that I do.
So,
Continue to let Frank make those mistakes.
you, Frankenstein, and Jacoby over here,
Jakenstein.
you guys got into a metal ding dong and ejaculated it across the country.
The ding dong was ejaculated.
We were ejaculated out of the metal ding dong across the country.
I was visualizing the propulsion as continuous ejaculatory.
No, this was a ballistic trajectory.
Oh, okay.
Of human nut.
Damn.
Across, 2,000 miles?
2,500.
What if airports...
We took a flight, Bill, you fucking perv. You fucking degenerate.
What if airports get a big O every time a plane takes off?
In life to Bill is about pussy.
All about that.
All about that pussy. That pussy. All about that pussy.
I can't tell if you just made that up or if that's an actual.
Bill is visibly in pain.
It's not even, the butt stuff. Whatever. It's the word that is the worst.
You're moist.
Pussy.
You're moist bussy.
Why is it moist? What's going on?
From the ejaculate.
One of my favorite moments on Reddit, I was reading the gay subreddit.
Why?
r/gay.
And I was in the comments section and somebody mentioned bussy, and then another gay person was like, what the fuck is that? And someone answered the question. They go, I hate it. I hate that word. And I'm like, okay, even the community does not fully support this term.
Anyway,
Okay, whatever.
unrelated to sex things, Frank and I took a vacation.
Lisa was there as well.
Lisa was. She's dead now. And by that I mean not here.
Back across the country.
She went right back. She loved it so much.
So what did you guys do? Did you go to more national parks?
We did. We went to Zion National Park, which is...
Killed some white legs.
Yeah.
Describe. Also what?
Helped out the dead horses and the new Canaanites. Fallout New Vegas references.
Okay.
Zion National Park. Very different in appearance from that DLC to Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
But
Surprising.
gorgeous.
It is, actually. I thought they said they tried to, go there and, map
They
the park.
tried, but
Yeah,
It was
Really
probably
do.
just like
such a long trip.
it was probably just like time limitations, right? But
Yeah.
in the game, it's a desert canyon with some flora and fauna here and there. In real life, it's
A lush forest.
a massive oasis. There's just green and just everywhere,
Yeah.
and it's also rocky and there's
Lots of trees,
desert.
lots of shrubs, lots of desert plant life. But yeah, in the game, and see, the problem is that Jake and I don't know if it's Jake's favorite game of all time. It's definitely in my top 3. I would probably put it in Jake's top 5, most likely.
New Vegas.
Yeah,
It's definitely up there.
yeah.
Definitely.
So, I mean, we're pretty obsessed with the game. We played thousands of hours of it a piece. And Honest Hearts, which takes place in Zion National Park, was one of my favorite parts of the game. It was some DLC that came out a few months after the game was released. And I don't know why. When I pictured Zion, I started picturing what it would look like if you took that and adapted it to real life. And yeah, it's nothing like it. So it was refreshing to get there and not be like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. Weird thing, when I went to LA and I was driving around, I felt weirdly familiar with it because of Grand Theft Auto 5, because it is such a realistic representation of Los Angeles. Just like Liberty City is very similar in layout to New York City in Grand Theft Auto 4. They scaled it up even more because I'm pretty sure Rockstar is in the Los Angeles area, and like they know it even better, right? So when I got to Zion, I was expecting to like have an idea of where things were throughout the park. I was completely wrong. It was not laid out anything close to like what I imagined. I don't know why I also pictured the little town. So there's a really nice little town next to, like, at the entrance to the park called Springdale, right? And that was not mentioned in Honest Hearts at all. Nope. There was no mention of it.
Nope.
And it was, I thought that the town was going to be like, I don't know, a gas station, a couple houses, maybe like a small hotel, and that's it. It was a nice little town. It had some shops, had a couple of hotels, one of which we had to stay
Dude, it
at
had
for
like
a few nights.
yeah, we'll get to that. It was, dude, there were like at least a dozen hotels and like
Yeah.
another dozen just like tourist trap trinket type shops.
Yep.
Like it's a little tourist trap town now.
Yeah, it is.
But we were on a campground. Actually within the limits of the park. Not that it was a difference of like half a mile, right? From the
You
nearest
could, I
hotel.
mean, not even. You could
Yeah.
easily walk in 5 minutes from our tent to the exit of the park, and like there was a little like brew pub, microbrewery, right there, like literally within 20 feet of the exit of the park, the walking exit.
How many beers did you drink?
And milkshakes.
I mean, I didn't drink I had no milkshakes
Oh,
the
okay.
entire time, but I don't think I drank a ton of beers. I definitely crushed some Michelob Ultras at the campsite, but I think I only had about 4 or 5 beers at the brew pub.
Yeah,
Were you
total.
guys camping?
Yeah,
We tried.
well, yeah, we did for some of the nights.
We were there for 4 nights, and we had Frank graciously bought a tent and really all of the supplies that we would need, except for we made like a Walmart stop to grab like odds and ends and food and stuff. We set up camp, and that first night, we make dinner over a cheap propane stove and this, that, the other. First of all, I mean, we did a little bit of hiking that first day. It was nice. It was like a little bit cloudy, but not really.
Like low 70, 73, 74 degrees. Beautiful weather.
Yeah, beautiful that first day. Did some hiking. It was gorgeous. At night, we had a quote-unquote 4-person tent. Yeah, maybe 4 children. Although I think we fit pretty, the 3 of us fit pretty well.
Yeah.
4 children equals 3 adults.
And it was fine, except I tossed and turned, just basically sleeping in a sleeping bag on the ground. And I'm a side sleeper, and I have to, like, I can't do the back or stomach thing.
Yeah.
Sleeping on your side on the ground is actually the worst. So I didn't sleep until about 4 a.m. when I got up and walked thank God, about 30 to 40 feet to our rental car and slept in the front passenger seat instead.
Oh, that car sleep is never good.
It was better than the floor of the
Better than
desert.
floor sleep?
It was better than desert sleep. But other than that, I mean, that first night was quite fun.
Yeah.
And the second day happened.
Yeah.
What's the second day?
The weather did not exactly cooperate with us.
How rude.
So the average high in Zion in May, in like mid to late May, which is when we went the week before Memorial Day, is somewhere in the mid 80s, with the average low probably being in the high 50s, low 60s, typical desert drops. And I think they average about a half of an inch of rain all month, right? We got about 1.5 inches of rain in the 4 days we were there, and I think the temperature only cracked 70 that first night we were there. Outside of that,
Some of the lows were in the 30s.
Oh my God! Like
We were
low
underprepared.
30s. Yeah, like low 30s. All right.
my God.
So I checked the forecast before we left, and at the time it said like we might get a little bit of rain, and the temperature, like, it wasn't going to be typical like desert summer heat type weather, but it was still saying like high 60s with lows like around the low 60, like pretty much sticking in a pretty narrow temperature range. I was like, all right, so
Sounds
it might get
great.
rained. Yeah, we might get rained on a little bit, but it'll be cool. It won't be bad. It's the desert. If it rains, it drizzles for a half an hour to an hour at most. Maybe you get like a passing quick, like very, like pretty heavy storm, but it's
squall
like,
type of
yeah,
thing.
like a squall type thing.
Heavy flow for a little bit.
Yep.
Then it's done.
And that's what you expect in the desert, right? That was not the case. I mean, it rained off and on the entire time we were there. Like Jake said, it was downright cold.
It did not
near
just
freezing.
rain.
Yeah. Oh, and
What?
we got hail and a little bit of snow as well.
Excellent.
Wow.
Excellent.
The second night, we got a couple drinks at the brew pub, and it started to hail at like what 8, maybe 9 o'clock.
9:30.
And then we bolted back to the tent. The hail only got worse. They scampered off to the tent. I huddled up in the rental car.
Did you
and
ha-
as the ice was piling on the windshield, I had the heater going for a little bit, rolling up my sleeping bag, got the tablet with a movie up on the dash. Like I'm like hanging. I brought a towel. I'm hanging the towel up on some of the hand things so people aren't staring at me while I'm trying to sleep in the morning. As they're walking around, because it was pretty full. The campground. It wasn't fully full. It wasn't packed constantly, but just about every site was taken. So I'm like almost completely set up, and then Frank gives me a call. He's like, Jake, nature wins. I got a hotel, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I put myself back together. The hail just about lightened up at that point, and you guys ran back to the car, and we drove a mile up the road to, what was it, a Marriott?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Residence Inn.
So
Yeah.
what was the hell like in a tent?
I mean, really annoying. I was hoping, first of all, the hail, I figured it would hail, because normally when it hails for like, 10, 15 minutes at most, and then it just kind of stops. That's what we're used to here on the East Coast when they normally come with thunderstorms. It probably lasted almost an hour out there, and I was like, I'm not sure that this is going to stop anytime soon.
I think we're gonna die out here. This is the end of the world.
Like, I was more concerned because we were right underneath a gigantic cottonwood tree, like our tent was. I was like, I think the tree's fine, but like, I don't want branches falling on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want branches falling down on us in the middle of the night and crushing our tent. Like, I don't think the branches were big enough to kill us, but definitely like would hurt.
At bare minimum, rip a hole open.
Right, exactly. And I don't want that to happen at 2:30 in the morning and then have to try and get a hotel at that point. Also, I bought a summer sleeping bag because I was going to camp in the summer in the desert. And it was getting down to like freezing, and I was like, I'd probably be fine, but I don't want to like freeze in my tent overnight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on vacation, and I don't mind roughing it.
But
Frank, what, you get back, fucking Jake's all sad. And you're like, oh, how was your trip? You're like, oh, look, okay, but Frank's not coming home. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? He froze to death.
In the desert in the summer.
Everyone would just assume that Jake killed me.
They would.
like, there's no way that happened.
I would be sentenced to death. They wouldn't even bother to
Immediately.
go out and find you.
Nope.
I'd just be fucked. No. But
How
it was.
big
it
were
was,
the hail chunks?
They got as big as about like a dime.
Yeah,
or
I would say
more.
it
was
like
not-
a quarter inch.
They weren't cantaloupe sized.
No, there were no bowling balls. If that would have been a serious problem.
Guys, I think maybe we should get out of the storm.
I think
Once they're as big as chimpanzee
car.
nuts, that's dangerous.
chimpanzee nuts is definitely a common
That's-
frame of reference.
That's definitely
That's
a
why I compare
hell
everything
of a
to.
scale.
Why are you so gay all of a sudden, Bill?
Dude, first off, it's
Because he's
not
all
gay.
about that pussy.
First off, it's not gay.
All about
'Cause
that
it's an
puss.
animal.
About that puss. No treble.
It's about a chimpanzee. Second, I didn't take my focus pills, so I'm all over the place today. Third, have you seen a picture of a shaved chimpanzee?
No.
Why are you looking at pictures of shaved chimpanzees?
It's on the internet, okay?
Bill's
I spend time
officially
there.
patient zero for HIV. Anyway, you're a chimp fucker, Bill. Calling it right now.
You're a chimp fucker.
You
Mr.
started the
Bill.
AIDS.
Oh no! Someone.
You are the reason Freddie Mercury is dead.
Oh my god.
Oh my God! Wow, this
Oh my
this
God.
is escalated
How do you live with yourself?
too fast.
This is what happens when you make inappropriate jokes during our story, Bill.
Did you get extra insurance for your car? And did it cover the hail damage?
There was no hail damage, luckily, to the car.
Oh.
But my credit card gives it's called collision damage waiver is what it's called for those people who are unfamiliar with it. And it is coverage for physical damage and theft of the rental vehicle. So I didn't have to worry about that, which is nice. It saves a little bit of money every time you rent a car. But yeah, no, I mean, outside of that, like first of all, the hotel was actually really nice.
Yeah.
Especially it was
stayed there 2 nights.
Yeah, we stayed there 2 nights. It was not expensive. It was like $200 a night for like a suite with like 2 beds and a little like kitchenette with a mini fridge and a microwave and coffee maker.
Couch.
Couch.
TV, nice bathroom, walk-in closet. Not too shabby, you know, especially for like a tourist trap.
Yeah, free breakfast.
Yep.
What?
Yeah,
So did you guys leave the hotel again?
We did.
Okay.
We had 1 night left, the last night, and we did do that back in the campsite. So the car for me. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Yeah. We went back for the last night. I actually only meant to reserve the hotel for 1 night, but I accidentally reserved it for 2 nights.
Yeah, accidentally.
Yeah, and
I didn't complain.
yeah, I mean, it was solid. The park itself, I think the disappointing thing was because of the weather. A lot of the trails that Lisa and I wanted to hike were closed, so we literally hiked every single one that was open.
So is that what you do at this park? You just hike?
Pretty much.
Mostly, yeah.
Are there geysers to horribly fall into?
No, but there are
Waterfalls?
deep drop-offs
Okay.
to die off of,
Yes.
Okay.
including on the most, which is amazing, the most popular hike of Zion National Park is called Angel's Landing, right? And it takes you up, I think, about 12 or 1,500 feet. It might be higher than that. So I'm sure someone out there is like, no, it's like 2,200 feet. Great, whatever. It takes you up in elevation, and it's pretty steep. But then the last, like, I don't know, quarter to half mile of it, I think, is like this tiny little spine of rock that juts out from like one thing to this like plateau area, and it's about 4 feet wide with about 1,000-foot straight cliff drop off on either side. And it's the most popular hike in the park, with people constantly walking up and down, back and forth all day long.
So you have to maneuver around people.
Right. They have a chain in the middle to hold on to, so you know that it amazes me that more people, because we didn't get to do it. I don't think Lisa wanted to do it anyway, especially given,
I sure fucking didn't.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
No thanks.
But like,
Just
you can look
crawl
up the
it.
pictures of it. It's surprising that more people don't die. Like, I think it's like single digits a year.
Did I told you when I went to Ireland, we were at the Cliffs of Moher, and they have signs all over the place, and like, do not walk on the other side of this barrier. People fall and die every year, and we don't feel bad for them. And so we get to this, I'm like behind the embankment that you're supposed to have, and it goes up to a little mound you have to cross over, and there's a big pool of water. And I'm like, I'm not going to stomp into that. So I look around and I see footprints walking on the mud, sort of by the edge of the cliff. And I was like, oh, somebody else walked there. Surely I can just go. And I'm in basketball sneakers on mud in windy Ireland. And guess what? It's wet. And I get to the other side and I hop down and I look back. I was like on a 4-foot path next to a 770-foot cliff. And I was like, oh, I could have died super easily. My plan was, if I fell, I was like, my monkey brain will save me. I'll just claw at the mud or something. And then I looked around and there was actually another path to the left that I failed to notice. So I think people, like, they don't die because everybody's making the right decision. I think you just get insanely lucky, like me. Mm-hmm. So I can, anyhow, you wouldn't have fucking got me on that chain. That's all
I mean, look, here's the thing, and I'll show you a picture,
No, I'm
Bill.
saying-
Like, you can die, right? Because it is a very steep drop off with not a whole, but I mean, it's like walking upstairs. If the stairs, like, imagine walking up a fire escape on like the Empire State Building where there was only one handrail.
Okay.
It's doable, right?
Yeah.
But definitely freaky.
Yeah.
And if you psych yourself out, you might fall over and you'll definitely die. But like, we're not talking about feats of athleticism here to do it, right? You just need to walk upstairs. Anyway.
Sorry, I interpreted that as two separate statements where you might fall over, but you will definitely die.
Whether
no
or not you
what
fall
do.
over.
Yeah, exactly.
You will just die. No.
So I would have been cool with not doing that. There's a more difficult hike that doesn't have the same like drop-offs and potential for death called Observation Point, and I think from the pictures that I've seen at least gives you a much better view, and it's like a much cooler endpoint than Angel's Landing. That's my personal opinion, having been to neither now, unfortunately, just from looking at the pictures. So, and I could see where they were in the park, right, from the ground. And you can kind of look up and see, like, yeah, I think this would give you a much better view of things because it's like 1,000 feet higher than Angel's Landing anyway. It's much more difficult because it goes up like an extra 1,000 feet in elevation, and it's like, I think it's like a 7-mile trail as opposed, like one way, I believe it's 7 miles, as opposed to like 4 miles one way.
What's 7 miles? Is it like extra 20 minutes or something?
Yeah. Anyway.
I did considerably less hiking even than you guys did. One, because I'm in worse shape, and two, because I almost prefer it that way. I'm a lazy slob. So, the hiking I did do, though, we did, what was the one that we did do called? It was like 7.5 miles round trip.
Oh, yeah. That was a Canyon Overlook Trail.
Yeah. You figure what, elevation of like 400 or 500 feet?
Maybe 6.
My asthmatic ass was huffing and puffing something fierce, but I had the inhaler, so it was fine. But it was just like, oh my God, I haven't done anything this physical in years. All I'm doing is walking forward. Fuck. But every direction you looked in at almost any given point was fucking gorgeous anywhere in that park. And from what I did, the tops of that trail in particular, because just like the views we had, and it was God, that place is pretty. I mean, even when it was cloudy, because like the elevation's already kind of high, and then like you're surrounded by mountains, there was just this low hanging fog like clawing around all the like plateau peaks and shit. It was just like, it was really cool. The one day we did do that. I guess it was the second day we did that drive.
Yeah.
Through, it was, what was that, like 3 miles or something like that?
It's 12, I think.
12. Oh, okay. Yeah. You can do like a drive through an upper part of the canyon, and it was really cloudy and like foggy that day, but not so foggy you couldn't see shit. It's just like your long range visibility was hampered, but everything up close looked really cool. Just seeing all like the rock layers, how they got all warped and shit, and the one area was called like Checkerboard Peak or something like that.
Checkerboard Mesa. And like that one doesn't make any fucking sense.
Does it not look like a checkerboard?
It does, and it's a problem. It doesn't make any sense how it got there. Like it's
It looks like somebody painted a checkerboard on rock.
Just about.
Oh, yeah.
I could pull up pictures from my Facebook here, but it's like down the side of this mountain, or mountains you can drive by within it. There's the horizontal / diagonal rock layers that were eroded away into view, but then down them vertically are like these erosion lines in all like almost equidistant from each other, running straight down from the top, and then that creates this checkerboard pattern. And I now believe in intelligent design and a young Earth.
I'm pretty
Just
sure
kidding.
that
I made that
Devil
bad.
made
Nature is
that
fire.
when he
I'm
hid
kidding.
bones underground, dinosaur bones, to confuse us.
You mean God did that to test
The
us?
devil.
No, the devil did it to make us stupid.
I think we got a religious war brewing here.
I think God made the devil, so.
No, the devil made himself by rejecting God's love.
But God knew that would happen.
I don't know.
Anyway,
All right, we'll duel. We'll duel later.
we'll do Pistols at Dawn, and
Okay.
back to our trip. I don't know what else you want to say about it, because there was a second leg to it after Zion.
Well, yeah, I mean, the other disappointing thing was because of the weather, lots of rain and whatnot. There was you couldn't do the Narrows, which I was hoping we'd be able to walk up a little bit of. So the Narrows is really cool, and if you're listening, Paul, you should definitely Google that.
Specifically, anyone who's listening happens to be called Paul.
Yeah. So you should Google that because it's really cool. It's like this little area up the river. This whole place, the whole canyon, was formed by the Virgin River, right? And I mean, it really, really hates women. I mean, it really carved
the fucking incel river. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. And it carved the canyon over the course of millions of years, as all canyons have been carved, right?
He's not getting laid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He's
It
got
had
all
nothing
the
else
time.
to do.
It has to find a hobby.
Yeah. You can only jerk off so many
Fucking
times. in a
Nerd
day.
River.
It got sick of going for the record.
But the way it carved the canyon, it's like super deep and like super narrow, and that's why they call it the Narrows, is because it's like these really, really tall canyons that are only a couple of feet wide, and you can hike. They're very smooth from the water, from the rock. Yeah, the water like carving them out, and it's it's really cool, and you can hike up it as long as the river isn't flowing too hard, so you won't get killed in a flash flood. And it wasn't available because
It was raining a lot.
It was raining a lot, so there was a lot.
Flash floods were very likely.
Yeah. So, a little disappointing, but it gives us an incentive to go back, which I definitely will.
I might, but not for as long, and I'm definitely going to take a helicopter tour instead and do very little hiking because I am me.
Yep.
And stay in a hotel the whole time.
I don't
Because
blame you.
I am a pasty white bitch.
Look, I will always understand at a park like that where you have good hotels so close to the park entrance. Yeah, fucking stay in the fucking park or stay in the hotel if you want. You're on vacation, like live the vacation life, right? I don't understand it for people like when Lisa and I went to Sequoia 2 years ago. We stayed in a hotel, but what we didn't know was that from the hotel to like the entrance to the park was like almost an hour's drive.
Oh.
So it said it was like right next to the end. Well, yeah, it's the only town that was next to the entrance of Sequoia, Three Rivers, and it was a crappy little like Comfort Inn. It was not particularly nice. That I wish we would have camped in. Like if I could flip flop it, I would absolutely camp in Sequoia, but get the hotel in Zion because you could stay there and it's not going to take you any longer to get into the park.
You know what I kind of love is the juxtaposition of your guys' vacation experience and like the rugby guys that we went to Ireland with.
Yeah.
We were gone for a week as well, and the group that came from my team, there was like 6 of them, all went through alcohol withdrawal by the end of the week. And
The last day we were there was awful for them.
Yeah, everybody would like. You had a whole week where all you could have done was just drink. You could have been drunk on trails, drunk all the time, and you didn't. And I think that shows a level of maturity
that our other friends do not have.
I really am astounded. Actually, I'm personally offended that you went out on vacation and you don't have a story where like, yeah, I was gonna drink like 2 beers and then I drank this IPA that was like 18% and I drank like 8 and then I blacked out. Like,
Well-
we would have got a good Frank blackout story in a while.
Well, there was a second leg to this trip in Las Vegas.
Okay, here we go.
yes,
And
please.
prepare to be even more disappointed.
Give it to
Oh,
me,
no.
Daddy.
Only because of the thing you just said,
Chris,
and that
give me that
you,
Robodeck.
only because you've been pining for a Frank Blackout story, and it didn't happen.
Also, the weather wasn't great in Vegas either.
Right? It was pissing rain when we got
Does it
there.
matter? Aren't you inside all the time
No.
in Vegas? Oh, no. Okay.
No, the pools.
Oh,
The
okay.
pools, the
I think
strip,
the The pools are the best part of Vegas. Gambling is fun too, unless you don't have any money to gamble, which or you don't like it, which is fine because the pools are so goddamn good there, and there's so many shows and
shows and buffets,
restaurants.
and
Wait,
yeah.
there's plenty of indoor. That's mostly indoor things
Pools?
to do.
What's good about the pools? I went to Vegas and I didn't go in a single pool, so I'm pretty mad at myself.
Yeah, you should be because they're like the best pools, at least in the country. They're incredible.
Here we go. List
Yeah.
of Frank's top 10 pools.
We stayed at the Mandalay before we do a stupid top 10 list.
Definitely in the
And-
top 10.
Number 11 will
The Mandolin
shock
pool?
you.
Not clickbait.
Definitely not clickbait. Okay.
There's only 600 ads on this page. So we stayed at the Mandalay. The Mandalay has how many? 5, 8 idiot pools.
Idiot
I
pools.
think at least 7.
I
I don't know. It's
so
11 acres
too many
of pools.
pools.
Why so many?
Because options.
Yeah.
But are they like connecting
There was
to
a
each other
no,
or in any way?
no.
Okay.
The one was heated.
Okay.
The one was like it almost looked like a little racetrack, but in pool form. It was just like a big loop, like an elongated loop.
Geriatrics, jazzercising in the water, going around the loop.
No.
All right.
No. There was a massive wave pool with a beach.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
There was a pool club where they, like bump music and you ever see movies where there's like a ridiculous pool party going on where they've got like a DJ and people are getting wasted?
Yes.
That is what those beach clubs are like.
Wait, those
What?
exist?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've only seen these parties that like NCIS says happen, but if you focus on the party, it looks super lame. But they're like, this is what everybody does in high school.
Well, they couldn't get, they couldn't probably afford the rights to film at like, a Cancun spring break party or some shit.
So, yeah, those parties definitely exist, and they're called Wet Republic at the MGM, Moria Beach Club at the Mandalay, Rehab, I think, is at Hard Rock.
What?
Yeah, but like, I mean, there's like a dozen of them, which are like
Actually,
these,
just rehab.
yeah,
They trick you. Like, we'll get all the party people out here for rehab.
No, they're in a pool having a fucking.
Yeah, bro, get some more
Anonymous.
Sprite.
My name's Bill, and I'm a party holic.
Hi, Bill.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
they
he's
get,
anonymous.
they get like world-renowned DJs, and if that's your thing, then I mean, it's an amazing experience. I'm not a huge fan of that scene, but I do enjoy hanging out in the pool in the desert when it's like 100 degrees out with like a frozen drink and relax. That's like a top activity for me.
Yeah, really the only drawback of at least my time, which you guys spent more time at the pools than me, but was the I guess because it was so packed, especially that Friday we were there the last day when it was finally like nice out. The beer ferries, man.
Yeah.
They need like to quadruple their beer ferry staff.
Yeah.
Beer fairies?
Beer ferries.
The cocktail waitresses at the pool.
Oh, okay.
They come around.
Do they call themselves that, or is that a name you?
No.
It is a name that we definitely did not come up with,
Okay.
but is my preferred term
Okay.
for them, independent of what they think. It's endearing, so if they don't like it, well, they should speak up.
Well,
Did-
it sounds cute.
Question: did you guys get roofied in Vegas?
No.
Okay. Well, that's
Just
different
you.
than my experience.
Also, the buffet was amazing.
Buffet
as
was good.
usual.
We tried to go into the Bacchanal, but the wait was too long, and then you used your VIP I have too many credit card status to skip the line at another
Bellagio.
The Bellagio. The buffet was very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So, Jake, you're the single guy on the trip.
I was the third wheel, yes.
What? How was the talent in the park? Any
And
hot chimps? And how was the talent in Vegas?
I mean, they were everywhere. I mean, it wasn't.
chimps were everywhere?
There's just so many chimps.
The
dude.
Bigfoots.
I was like,
Yeah, Sam Squinch.
I was drooling over all those chimps. No, I mean, yeah, just whatever. There's tons of smoking hot.
Did you fall in love with anybody?
No.
How am I supposed to write a fucking movie if you're not falling in love?
What you are not chronicling a single aspect of my life, sir.
You don't know that.
because you're not doing anything.
You're right.
Get on it. So
It's just gonna be a movie
I
of
already
you trying
wasn't
to
doing
hike
anything.
and losing your breath.
I'm gonna cancel the show now.
what?
Get the fuck out of here.
But
No,
if
I'm
I
just
write
kidding.
Cancelled.
if I you have been canceled.
Disqualify.
if you have an experience and I write a movie and we get really famous, then you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, except I'd be famous and I couldn't be left the fuck alone.
I would no. I'll just play you. And I'll give you a bunch of the
It's
rights.
not too
I'm
far
uncomfortable.
off. But
All right.
Okay, we'll
you
talk.
might
Okay.
you might have a little too much
So
emotion.
anything happen between any other remarkable things for the last leg of the trip?
I didn't lose any money gambling.
I only lost money gambling.
I really think some people have it, some people don't. I've gambled 3 separate times in my life, immediately lost.
But part of my problem is I put more money into the slots than I should have, and like literally like every even the times I won, it was a net loss on that spin. Like, oh, you spend whatever 30 credits. Oh, you won. Here's 7. I'm like, thanks. Thank
slot
you.
machines, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how people play slot machines for more than 20 minutes. Because, like, I've put, like, $200 into a slot machine and gone through it in, like, 20 minutes.
Yeah. I put, like, 80 in because I was too lazy to find a table at that hour.
Without ever winning anything substantial the entire time.
Yeah.
Except for the first time I ever played a slot machine. And, like, my second spin, I actively avoided them for, like, the few times I'd ever been in a casino. And then my one friend, who's a complete wizard, we talked about Flans, was like, dude, just put like $20 in here. Just spin it a couple of times. It's like, no, dude. He's like, come on, man. I was like, all right, fine. So I put $20 in. On my second spin, I won like $280.
What?
It was like an absurd amount on like one spin. Yeah.
That's nuts.
And then I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go play blackjack with this now. So I did.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I didn't hit really the tables at all. I mean, I did a few friends of mine gave me roulette numbers to spin, and they all lost, of course.
Fucking
I mean,
friends.
of course, it's like one.
Who needs them?
I mean, independent of the house advantage, like how many slots are there on a roulette wheel?
I think there's
like
37.
37.
There's
okay.
35 numbers, 0 and 00 in American roulette.
I asked you to put a billion on black. Did you do that for me?
I did. I lost it all. Thanks for that. I'll send you the invoice.
All right, I'll give you $100 a month, and we'll clear that up.
Until it's done.
Yeah. So we'll be square in the year 4000. Yeah,
You're
I mean
okay with
the
that,
gambling
right? That works for you.
The gambling was never really my speed in the first place. I don't know that I don't have it. I just don't do it enough.
Mm-hmm.
You put me at a blackjack table and like, I can hold my own. I know the rules well enough. Not correcting for the house advantage, of course. But you just didn't do it. I mean, by the end of the week, by that Friday, I was just kind of like running out of gas. I was just like, I'm ready to go home.
I was still good.
Yeah,
I would have preferred. I mean,
you crashed when we first got there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we landed, we flew out on Friday. First of all, I even took that Friday off the day we left, even though our flight wasn't until like 4 something. Jake was actually on a different flight from Lisa and myself. You were behind us by about what, half an hour probably by the time we actually checked into the hotel. Like you got there probably about a half an hour after.
We both pulled some shenanigans, or all three of us pulled some shenanigans with trying to get earlier flights. I think our initial flight was like at 8 p.m. We were going to land at midnight or some crap locally, and I was like, that's a little late. So I actually booked an earlier flight, and I think you just put yourself on standby for an earlier one.
Right, and we got like a 4:30
You guys got a 4:30 flight. That flight was packed because the original flight we were on was fucking canceled.
Yeah.
And
Flight's canceled.
we got out of it before that happened, so we were good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then my flight was like 6. Or like
ours
just
was at 4:30.
Yeah, so I had to walk to a different terminal, which took a good 20 minutes at least, and then whatever, it was a stroll. Like I wasn't
100 yards away.
Wasn't in a hurry. And then there was a bar in that area, like right there next to the gate. So I just sat at the bar and got a couple drinks and like, dorked around on YouTube for a little bit, and flew out. And but because I tried to get in the earlier one, my bag went with your flight, my checked bag. It was goofy. It was all goofy.
Dude,
But
who'd you guys
we got
fly?
there. It was a good time. American. Yeah. We both have credit cards through American. I think you have a Delta one also.
Nope. Just the American one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean their reward program is like decent. Really, I mean I flew out on like points, and so I really only had to pay for one of them.
Sick.
When we got there, man, I don't know what it was, because I didn't do anything that day. Like earlier in the day, Lisa and I went to Kohl's. That was about it, and the bank, so I could get cash to gamble. I slept in, and then our flight wasn't particularly late, but when I got to Vegas, I felt like dog shit.
Dude, I really think the pressurization or the being in a plane is exhausting?
I don't know, man. Because on the way back, I was fine.
All right. Well, fuck me.
I don't think you're wrong, Bill.
Yeah, I don't
think
necessarily think you're
Fuck
wrong.
me.
I mean, if you want,
It's a demand.
Yeah, but I mean,
drop them draws.
honestly,
Let me smell
I got
your
there,
dick.
I thought I was gonna pass out waiting in line to check in the hotel.
Jesus.
And then like I got up to the room and I basically immediately just collapsed on the bed and then like passed out for an hour and then woke up and ate some food and went back to bed.
Yeah.
That was
So, do you recommend it to a friend?
Yeah, rate
Yeah.
the trip.
It was good. I think all of its problems were things we couldn't control.
yeah.
So-
Like I would absolutely do that exact same vacation again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I would, but I might accompany you for parts of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Very good. Thank you for that. It's good to have you guys back. Glad everybody's safe and sound. Glad you had fun. Before we kick it to break, there is, on the topic of vacation, Frank, you had a question for the podcast.
Oh,
It's Disneyland.
Ooh, yeah, I forgot about that. How do you people feel about adults
oh, people.
who are, yeah, I'm giving you a lot of credit here, everybody. How do you people feel about adults who are really into Disney World?
I identify as spinach. Thank you.
Oh, man, I'm doormatkin.
And
I thought.
and it's weird, but I don't care. That's all I'll say.
Are we actually weighing in all of this?
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I don't know. Disney World never did anything for me. My mom hates crowds, so I never went there as a kid, which apparently is a rite of passage for a shitload of people.
I've never been either.
I was there only because my high school band went.
Oh, but
Nerd.
like being at a theme park, I've always every time I'm there, I'm like, yeah, this is fucking fun. But it's as long as I don't think about it, because you're on like blacktop, it's incredibly hot. There's lines everywhere. You're just like, ugh. And especially if you go in like the water park and you start chafing, and you're just like, oh my god. So I don't know. I don't see the appeal, and we already talked about how I don't get the appeal of being royalty. So this whole Disney princess shit, like if somebody were like, hey, you're head of a country right now, I'd be like, all right, cool. Maybe I can make it awesome. But I don't like just want to be like a prince or a princess or something just to have people dote on me. I don't get it. But I guess for adults, it's like if they can hang on to that magic, from their childhood, that's pretty cool. But Disney, to me, continues, like, they seem to be getting eviler and eviler as
What?
this megacorp.
Oh, okay.
So this, like, it feels like somebody would in love with like Coca-Cola or something. You're like, what is the appeal? They're big. They just make money. I don't know. Chris, what do you think?
I'm not talking about people just obsessed with Disney. I'm talking specifically about the people that are obsessed with Disney World, the park. Which
to.
tend to be that, like, those two things tend to go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen people who are not huge, particularly into the Disney thing, as much as they are going to Disney World.
I wonder how much of that is just like the ritual of it.
Yeah, it might be.
It is like the biggest park of its kind, right?
I guess.
Or certainly up there.
For
if
some
not.
reason, I feel like the Disney in like Asia is even bigger.
Okay, but on this
I could be
continent,
wrong with
Is
that.
it just because there's more people, Frank? Is that why you're thinking that?
Maybe, I don't know.
it could be.
Because
Half
it's
as
newer,
big,
really,
10
is why
times as
I
many
think that.
people.
I mean, there's. I've never been. I can't say. From the accounts of people who I watch online, hey, we took a trip to Disneyland. We're a bunch of grown ass
People.
men, adult stoners, but we just chose to go to Disney World as a goof, and they just have
so funny.
they just have like a laundry list of issues with it. And then of course there are the folks who don't have those issues. In any circumstance, for me, your mom and I have that thing in common. I'm not a big fan of crowds, not a big fan of lines. I definitely don't want to pay some exorbitant price to go fuck around in a park filled with people in costumes, who are underpaid and undertreated, and just to wait an hour and a half to get on a ride I might like. That might be a cynical view, but I've never liked these types of parks in the first place. I'm not big on rides. I'm not, it's not.
So even like going to like Six Flags or Dorney Park, like
not a fan. The most aggressive roller coaster I ever rode was Steel Force, and I was terrified at Dorney Park. It's not my thing. It's not me. I like.
Like if I didn't have food allergies, and I still drank, I think Disneyland as an adult could be lit, because like you just if money wasn't an object,
If you're a better adjusted like social human, like
you
there's
get
definitely more
shithoused at Disneyland.
Sure, I mean, you even not getting
I don't know if
shithoused, I'm
that's
sure
still-
you can have a shitload of fun if you're into those sorts of things.
There's a lot
I am
for
not into
adults.
any of these
Well, I
things.
thought there were like you have to go to specific places for alcohol. It's not like they serve it out.
If you go
Right.
to like the world at Epcot, you can
Yeah.
drink around the world.
Chris, we haven't heard your. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. That's what I heard about.
You can literally have a drink
What's
in
your
every
feeling
country.
on the Disney World and Frank's quest, John?
Well, I've gone twice. Once when I was in elementary school and once when I was in high school. I kind of want to go a third time because that's like 3 stages of your life, kind of. So now I want to experience it as an adult now. So I got to experience it as a kid who was still madly in love with cartoons and silliness. And then, as a high schooler, I got to experience it as that. And I was more into like the bigger rides and stuff. And now I want to see it as like an adult who will like appreciate the art, the animatronics, and all that other kinds of stuff.
The alcohol.
So I want to experience that portion of it now.
I can sympathize with that completely.
I would.
It's just not a benchmark.
I would go with you. I would go with you, especially since my top 5 celebrity like step out of marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Your
like
list.
Exceptions to monogamy.
yeah. Goofy's on there, and I'd like him to yuck me real good.
Will you read him back?
Yeah. I would definitely be interested.
Oh my god, that is such a disturbing moment.
Gosh.
All right. What do you what do you think,
No.
G? You have a friend who got married though?
Yes, actually, I have 2 friends who are very enamored with the park itself, along with all of the movies and everything like that. Do you think part of it is part of like the nostalgia of growing up with a lot of that content? I remember like being a kid, and Disney was pretty much the main source of movies. I think DreamWorks started coming in a little later, like beginning.
There
of
aren't very
teens.
many other like animated
Right.
film enterprises out there.
Right.
Just DreamWorks and Pixar, right?
Pretty much.
And so my 2 friends. The first one, she's a friend from high school, and she ended up going to a college down in Florida that was like, I think, an hour away from the park. So she went multiple times in a year. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there is something called Disney bounding, which is basically you sort of cosplay as a Disney character, but you do it with normal clothing. So you don't get full costumed up. You do it so you still look like a normal human being, but you match the colors and coordinate like certain accessories, because they don't allow, in some of their menu rules, they don't allow you to dress up because they have people who are acting as those characters in the park. So that is a whole culture on its own.
If you could dress up as a Disney character at Disneyland, it would be like a kidnapper's paradise.
Just everyone's dressed up and kids missing all the
That's
time.
actually kind of terrifying. An entire amusement park of everyone dressed in costume like that.
It freaks me out
It's fucking
that
scary.
apparently they have like underground tunnels that they go
They
through.
do. I've been in them.
And I don't care for that. Like that
It's real
freaks me
cool.
out. I'm like, don't trick me with your mole people.
Yeah, they
I'm
have
not
like they
into
have like
it.
shops and everything down there too. It's wild. Yeah, it's like a whole nother world like underneath the park.
But they're like they've got a lot of different rules, and I can't remember all of them, but they're just
So your one friend went there
Super.
like multiple times a year?
yeah.
So she loves it. What about the other one?
And then I have a friend who I met in my adult times.
Your adult times or your adult times?
Secret time.
No, she's a friend and just a friend. And I know her and her group of friends who I think they all went to high school together. They've been several times, and then in the same year that I met her, she got engaged in front of the castle. And it was a huge thing, and it was adorable. Like, I've seen the video of him asking her, and it's cute. And let's see, they got married here, so it wasn't at the place, but then their honeymoon was in Disney.
Seems like a really weird place to go bang for a week.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nothing like railing your new lifelong partner at a fucking children's theme park.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really know him as well. I don't know what his thoughts are on it, but they seem to have a lot of fun, and she loved it. She
I mean, it is
posting stuff
popular
about,
to
like-
do that, right? Like, they
Yeah.
have whole packages, and
Well,
it's
you
like,
can get
but think
married there,
also,
too.
Also, think about this, all right? Disney offers like honeymoon packages, which basically means they have specific parts of the park dedicated for you to go bang.
I don't know about that.
Yes,
But
that
it's
is,
like-
that is what the purpose of traditionally the purpose of the honeymoon was to consummate the
Specific-
marriage and try and impregnate your new wife.
But isn't it specific hotel rooms? Because they do have hotels in the park.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm talking specifically about the places for the honeymoon package. Like, the traditional point of the honeymoon was to consummate the marriage and try and bang out a child real quick.
But are you saying Disney as a
So, has
company?
Has hotels where you
They have
bang?
fuck rooms.
Oh my god!
Yes.
In the park.
Yeah, like they have parts.
Frank is correct.
Yeah,
Let's
they
move
have,
on.
They have places where
Let
there
us
are meant
move
for the
on.
honeymoons.
Okay. All right.
That's true.
Sex.
I need you to cite your sources. Though.
I think it's time for a sex break.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick sax break.
Sex.
And all right, everybody, Godspeed. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Okay, so more entertainment. We last week went and saw, except for Genevieve, John Wick 3. What did everybody think of that movie?
Incredible.
Go see it.
A little more in depth on your feelings.
Go see it.
Again.
I want to. Yeah.
I've seen it.
I'm definitely going again.
I saw it twice.
Did you really?
Yeah, I would see it a third time.
How did it compare to the other ones?
John Wick.
What?
Live Free or John Wick.
How did it compare to the other ones in your guys' mind?
I mean, it might just be because I've seen it the most recently, but right now it's my favorite.
It's my favorite right now too.
I thought the art style was as close to the first, was closer to the first one than the second one was. Like, the first one was like a clinic on lighting and camera work on combat. It was just
They're just super well done.
yeah. The second one, I didn't really have much love for.
I really like the second one.
The third one, the dialogue was terrible. Halle Berry overacted her parts. Looked great, but overacted her parts, oversold the lines. Excuse me. And the dialogue sounded like it was originally written in English, translated in Google Translate to 6 other languages, and then back into English. Like, there's one line where Keanu's like, after this, we'll be even. And Halle Berry replies, no, after this will be less than even. Hey, what the fuck does that
Scene.
I didn't have a problem with that at all, and it means that now he owes her because she is disrupting everything she explained. Like, you saw how pissed John got in the second movie when D'Antonio presents his marker to John, right? Like, John Wick, of course, is just like, don't do it, man. Just like, please don't do it. I just got, like, I'm still trying to put my life back together, yada, yada, yada. And the whole series has had very minimalist dialogue, right? Except for the first movie where there is some necessary exposition, but barely even that. In the third one, like, okay, you say she overacted, but if you listen to what she was describing, I don't think it was all that bad of an overacting. You know, she implies a lot of stuff about having to hide her daughter, and how John Wick, the whole reason why John has a marker on Hallie is because he helped her with it. And now he's calling in this debt, and she knows that with the changes in her life since it was issued, that by helping John out with what John needs done, she's putting herself at significant risk, arguably more risk, immediately anyway, than John was by honoring D'Antonio's marker. Like, so she was pissed. Like, you know, she was pissed, okay? And listening to the context of what she was describing, I think I would be that pissed too. So I didn't have as much of a problem with that as I think you did. I have the benefit of a second viewing, but even the first time, it didn't chafe with me so much.
I mean, I think that there's a better way to say that you owe me than we're less than even. But
I think that's too nitpicky, and I think it was an appropriate response in direct response to what John said. It's like, no, we're not even, in a way that's not just saying, we're not even. Or no, you owe me. Like, that line is a trope in action movies, just about. So I didn't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with some creative. I didn't get the whole mistranslated line. It was written by kids. I didn't get any of that. I didn't have a problem with it. I think it's important to.
Sometimes you just got to cut a motherfucker.
Yeah.
What?
Then there was Lawrence L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Over here.
What?
Lawrence Fishburne. He was great.
He was
He was
amazing. He was probably my second favorite part of the movie outside of the action.
You pissed, John?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm pissed.
I love it. He is such an underrated actor.
He is.
Yeah.
He is really good. There's never been a role that I've seen him in where like I could not picture anybody else doing that.
He was perfect in Event Horizon. Like, he was the perfect captain for that crew.
And did you ever see Contagion?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really good in that,
Yes.
too.
I definitely, I can only think of John Wick's 2 and 3 and The Matrix that I've seen him in. I'm sure I've seen him elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. He's a very underrated actor, I think.
Yeah, he's super good. Yeah, they were all great. I mean, Keanu Reeves is just continues to be the most badass civilian shooter ever. You know, were there mistakes? Technically, yeah, in the action, like moments where, oh, these are all supposed to be super OP professional killers, and you just, you know, maybe there were moments where John probably should have gotten hurt or killed.
Muck ducked.
But it didn't matter because the action was so goddamn good. Back to Halle Berry. How about those puppers?
Oh, the puppers.
How about the good boys?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought the visuals were almost as good as the first. I thought the dialogue was not good, but the action was the best of the entire series. And I really appreciated how they clearly even had Halle Berry train up for this movie. Like,
She definitely put work in.
like, she had a good shooting stance and her movement was good. And it's just like, I'm so used to Hollywood where they'll be like so lazy that somebody doesn't even have trigger discipline when they're supposed to be, you know, like a highly trained operative or whatever. And I know that's nitpicky too, but they gave a shit. They could have just been like, Halle Berry, you're going to be in this movie and you're super beautiful and that's good enough for everything. But they're like, no, you're going to put in some work too. And I thought that in this movie she has these warrior dogs, and I thought they used them in a really creative way, very effectively. So I was like, oh, okay, like that's how dogs would be useful in combat like this, right? Like they weren't necessarily killing machines, but they could, but they distracted the enemy, and then the other John and Hallie finished him off, and I thought that they had pretty reasonable solutions to sometimes fantastical situations, like armor that was almost impossible to shoot through, and they're like, all right, well, here's a solution.
I mean, they gave John a suit jacket that is bulletproof, and that just looks like a suit jacket in the second movie, and he still has it, and they acknowledge that he has it when he first encounters Halle Berry. On purpose to remind you, which was tasteful, without having to be like, by the way, don't forget about his bulletproof shirt. Don't forget about it.
That was my least favorite part of the second movie, was that whole bulletproof jacket. But this one,
I was fine with it. I was like, it's an action fantasy. Like there are certain things I like to be nitpicky about, like especially around gunplay and stuff in action, where someone's supposed to be a professional ought to know better. Like I'm fine with nitpicking trigger discipline, or hey, your slides back, why are you still like trying to fire, shit like that you'll see in like cop drama movies. Those kinds of oversights, they don't happen in John Wick. That doesn't happen. But it other things like the dialogue, I won't necessarily nitpick if it's done well enough, and if you're coming with the John Wick in the first place for dialogue and story,
I'm allowed to not like the dialogue.
I'm not saying you're not. I'm just saying generally
just
speaking.
Too nitpicky about it.
That's not why we're here.
I don't even think. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm nitpicky about certain things, and I have justifications for them, and I'm not about others. And I'm sure those justifications change person to person. I'm not trying to come at you, Bill. But I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm rambling. Back to the dogs. That shit was so good. I mean, how many dicks got bitten? How many dudes got bitten in the dick, and how satisfying was every single one?
Every one of them.
And then they would get headshotted.
Oh my god!
What a way to go!
There was they did some things in that movie that I had never seen before in an action movie. Like they had these guys with blades attack a whole team of other bad guys, and like the way they had a team blade assault, I'd never seen that in a movie before. Like guys would come
the
in,
whole like first scene with the blades too. Is that the one you're talking about?
The
where
ninjas.
they go into a building and they start like chopping guys' legs. One guy chops his leg, the other one chops his ribs, the other one chops his head. You're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
It's lights out. And there was a lot of shooting people through their face, and it was really satisfying. You're like cradling somebody's head after you beat them up, and you blow the back of their head off. It was fucking awesome.
I was very satisfied with their use of shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, those steel. Because
oh my god!
The thing that all these movies, each of the movies has done really well is like set up. Every action movie will have like its arena, right? And part of the fun is, okay, protagonist arrives in an area. There's like some type of establishing shot. This is like a big dojo room, and now Bruce Lee is going to face off against Chuck Norris or whatever, right? And here we are. You see it in like the Raid movies where like, okay, there's the two dudes face off, and there's a big. This is the room they're in. These are all the implements lying around. How will they come into play? Will they? The ready, set, fight. And the John Wick movies do that really well, but it's not just straight up ready, set, fight. Early in the third movie, when he's initially running away from folks, and he winds up, of course, he winds up in an antique gun collection and has to, there's people on his tail. He's barred the door, but they're going to get through it eventually, and he has to, or he tries to find a working firearm, and there aren't. And there's some ammo on a shelf, old timey ammo, and there's a bunch of old timey guns, and he's the like. I need a bullet to go bang in the right direction and not kill me. And he starts taking shit apart, and he pieces together a functional enough revolver to get one shot off. My only disappointment with that scene was that he only uses it once and then just You know.
That's it.
But other than that, like, okay, here's a little puzzle room. Figure it out. You know, was that his only option? No, but it was really cool to see. Like, oh, okay, this is John has this knowledge. He can, okay, well, this is the bullet I have here, and it doesn't fit, and fits in this cylinder. But you know, the gun for this just doesn't fucking work. But here's a working frame, and tap some pins out. Bang, badass, right? And then, you know, there was a little puzzle room. And then right after that is the knife throwing room where everyone's throwing knives and axes at each other. And it's amazing.
The knife work, the knife fighting.
It's amazing.
And that movie was so fucking
I
good.
have not laughed at an action scene, several action scenes, as much as I have in John Wick 3.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
The dog fighting, hilarious, but awesome. Like, not in a deprecating way, hilarious, right? The knife throwing scene. Hilarious, like comedic timing within a technical, brutal, awesome action scene without feeling campy. It was they were master strokes of, like, you know, like temporary arenas for each of these little scenes. The whole glass room with the cameos, the 2 cameos from the Raid movies. Each of the first 2 Raid movies' main villains cameoed as henchmen for the main boss of John Wick 3. It was kind of fun.
Those guys are great.
Yeah, they're. It was pretty hilarious how small they were relative to Keanu.
He's huge.
He's
so small.
He's a huge man, and they're tiny Indonesian, you know, athletes, martial artists. But yeah, I mean, that was a great fight. And at no point did the combat disappoint, except in those, you know, tiny little moments where, like, you have to a little bit more actively suspend your disbelief. Like, okay, if I'm in this fight, like, this is the part where I totally got John in the back. Does it mean I live and he dies? No, but it's a hit. That could have happened.
They did a great job, I thought, at removing the issue that exists in both video games and movies where there's like 4 henchmen and only one is attacking at a time. Like, to sort of start the fight, it'd be like, why are they doing it like this? And then they timed everybody getting thrown across the room and being like, oh, my fucking body hurts, and then getting up to the timing of that movie, of the choreography was so goddamn on point. Like, everybody worked really hard. I mean, there were motorcycle chase scenes that were wicked.
Ooh. Didn't one of those motorcycle chase scene remind you of Final Fantasy VII?
Kind of.
Yeah.
With the Buster Sword?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Kind of.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, I said to myself, everything is a weapon. He literally used everything in a weapon, including horses.
He, I think they paid a little homage to, homage to the Bourne series.
Did he use a magazine?
The very first guy he fights, he takes a book and he puts it in the guy's mouth and then smacks it into his mouth. And if you remember in the Bourne Identity, he kills a guy with a magazine smashing it into his mouth. And then he really kills a guy. Keanu kills a guy by breaking his neck over the book.
He puts the book, like, upward on a table and rests the dude's, like, neck over it and punches his head down into the table.
It's beautiful.
You know, if you remember, that's how
first kill of the movie.
That's how, like, Jet Li killed somebody in the Expendables, except the guy was on his knees and he kicked him in the forehead so hard it broke his neck.
It wasn't a meathead missile?
Fucking there was no meathead missile. I was disappointed to say. I gotta tell you, it was like, there's a couple different movies I think of when I think of really solid action that's like over the top action, like the Terminator series, especially the third one. I believe it's that one with the lady Terminator.
Yeah.
And like, they drop the hook from a mobile crane into a sewer and it flips the whole giant rig over and tears up the street, and you're like, holy shit, this is fucking intense. And they're taking it seriously, right? Or you go watch the Expendables and there's like a lot of action, but you're like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, Terry Crews is shooting an automatic shotgun and it's shooting people 30 feet across the scene. But it's super hype. And the thing about John Wick is, like, it takes that we're going to try to realistically interpret the consequences of our actions, even if it's a little outside the bounds of somebody's actual capability. And we're going to give you this like gluttonous amount of explosions and blood and gore, but we're going to train the shit out of our actors, and it's going to be like, this is all going to be pretty plausible. Like, I did not lose immersion in the action at all. Yo, how about that scene? There's the two dogs are like running this way and that. Keanu Reeves isn't even the focus of the camera anymore. He's off screen just working. And they take the camera over the shoulder of Halle Berry. It's like a third person point of view, like a third person video shooter. And you just watch her like going through all these different enemies. And a lot of movies, they go like, this person's good. And then they live, they always get headshots. They always seem to have exactly the right timing. You're like, all right, I guess I got to take it on faith. You know, they show you how, with the timing and with everyone around her, she could possibly survive the situation, because you watch her do it. She shoots this guy, calls in the dog does this thing, she takes care of this guy as the guy is rolling around the dog, she kills him, and then somebody pops up there, she ducks behind, sends the other dog. It was just, you know, and then all of a sudden John Wick comes in and they're like, he helps it. Oh, it was just such.
Another thing about but that's also kind of plausible.
Right.
I'm going to repeat that because my mic was off. In that scene, it's convenient that everyone was using Glocks in 9, but the Glocks are so popular in 9mm that is 100% plausible. And they have a finite amount of ammo. You know, they're essentially leaving what is now an enemy fortress, and they only have handguns, and you see them grabbing mags off of the people they just downed. Sometimes before they're fucking dead, like, oh, I'm out of ammo. Yoink, click, bang. Right? You know what I mean? So that shit is almost a callback to the end of the second movie, where the arena for that was, you have a 1911 and you have 7 rounds. The rest is on you, and now it's, you know, essentially gun game. You know, the end of the second movie, he has to, you know, he starts with 1 magazine in a 1911 and has to murder hundreds of people to get to his target. And you watch him holster his weapon, pick up the other guys, pick up mags for that weapon, pick up mags for his own for later. Like, you know, as he's going through doing all the Brazilian MMA, like jiu-jitsu shit, you know, pulling off these crazy moves and shots. And you know, they bring that back in that scene, but it's like, now it's just a detail, right? Where it was like the gimmick of that arena at the end of the second movie.
They did a lot of hip throws and a lot of arm bars.
A lot of jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah.
That
was probably the most out of all of them, I think.
Yeah. It got to the point where I was like, they're doing this again, but then I thought, I was like, okay, actually, I mean, if it works, it works.
And sometimes like they roll the higher up dudes who they're fighting would like get out of it and like counter it, and then he has to deal with that, and like just little snippets of combat wrestling.
There was one point where Halle Berry does a pistol disarm. It's like a real quick like.
I think it's a Krav Maga thing.
Yeah, the IDF does it. I've seen that technique in real life.
Yeah.
And she's like, boom, and executes it really well. And I was like, and she does it, and it's clear that they didn't use camera magic. She just, and it's like they didn't focus on it. Like, look at how fucking cool this was. It was just part of, like, she's this good. Of course, boom, and then fucking smokes the guy. Oh my God, it was so good. And can we? Okay, I don't want to be too crass here, but I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't think Halle Berry will age. I think she will look like she's in her 20s.
Yeah, neither one of them are aging.
Dead.
They're actually both immortal gods,
I would believe it after that movie.
and now we've given them more
power.
weapons, more power.
See how
yeah.
old she actually is.
I also-
She's definitely in her 50s.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
I think I also love the handful of nods to the Matrix. Right.
What? Because of
Yeah.
Near the end, I don't want to spoil. I legitimately don't want to spoil like the last, stretch or the last like arena like fight.
Minutes.
Yeah, seriously. But leading up to like the climax of the film,
52.
they're nice. They're just like, shit. We have this onslaught coming, and whatever you need, John. Guns. Lots of guns. straight from the first Matrix movie. And then, of course, instead of digital shelves rolling through a white void, they go to a giant walk-in gun safe, and Winston's just like, here you go.
They
Go to town.
They have some guy, I think he was even a baddie, do a Matrix style lean backwards dodge, but not with a bullet. It's with a knife, a throw knife. But it's like that over the shoulder shot where the guy leans back towards the camera. Goes, I was like, the fucking Matrix is in the house, man.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was so fucking good.
Yeah.
There's just like that action. I can't pick it apart. It had so much new stuff, and it did everything else right. It was so fucking good.
I think you'll see a trend with how popular the John Wick movies are. I think it raises the bar for other action movies going forward. We're like, yeah, we'll probably still get Expendable style ridiculous action because there's always going to be a market for that. Yeah. But I think for a lot of action movies, it's going to significantly raise the bar for like what's expected out of an action movie.
Well, it already started happening after the first one, and also after the Raid movies too, on that hemisphere, and all that stuff bleeds into each other, which is why the cameos occurred in the third movie. But like, what's that movie Lucy that came out?
Yeah.
And then that same director is making another movie with like a female protagonist, Anna, similar type of thing, like badass like female lead assassin doing lots of technical combat work and getting like thrown around herself in like a realistic looking way, at least by the trailer's indication.
And did you guys see The Kingsman?
Yes.
I have not seen it, but I've seen scenes of it.
That was excellent action too.
Yeah, like that again, like all the action in that really well done. That scene in the church in Kentucky, that's like that is one of the best action movie scenes of all time that I've ever seen.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's over the top, but it's not like without its grounding.
Yeah.
At the same time.
I was looking at it and like the action and it's interesting that you called it like action fantasy, which might be why we have different opinions on the movie itself and probably the whole series. I think it's a lot more grounded than like Terminator. I was like, this might be the best, like mostly realistic portrayal of an action movie I've ever seen. Like
John Wick, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
See Bloodsport?
Yeah, Bloodsport.
I don't know if I could say like
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I don't know if I could say I like, John Wick 3 more than I like Terminator 2, but they're like totally different movies.
It's
they're
apples
both
and oranges.
action movies, but John Wick 3 in its lane, I think it might be the best action I've ever seen. It was just unfucking believable.
If you're cool, like if you've never seen these movies and like a lot of people I know and work with are just like, I'll be at work ranting and raving. They're like, those John Wick movies, they look too dumb. Like, is Keanu any good? They just don't know. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
That was me before Sean, friend of the podcast, had me watch the first one.
Please un-idiot yourself and watch all three of these movies and realize that they are some of the best action ever put to film. They're just as long as you like action movies in the first place, and you're comfortable with a like mild amount of gore. Like it's really not all that bad.
It's just right.
There was one scene in the second movie, and to a lesser extent, one in the third movie, and they were very brief. That for me, being a little bit of a queasy bitch, would depending on my mood as I'm watching it, and I've watched the first two movies like a dozen times, like at least. Where like I might have to look away. I might my stomach might turn a little bit depending on how I'm feeling in that moment, right? Otherwise, externally to it, but they're brief. And the movie picks up right afterward, and it's fine. Like I'm telling this to the folks who have that similar sort of issue, right? Because they're out there. Those are the only things to be aware of. After that, it's like just full steam ahead. Watch Keanu Reeves be the best he's ever been.
Dude, there was one Saving Private Ryan slow stab scene that made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah. The femoral artery bit in Black Hawk Down gets me every time. I like literally fainted the one time. It wasn't my first time seeing it. It was just like I didn't eat that day, and I was just like,
it's too much.
Out I went. was bad. It was bad. But those like prolonged, like nothing you can do about it, extremely painful sorts of things are what get to me. But they're so. I mean, again, it's really only those two moments. Is what's her face? I won't even name her. What's her face killing herself in the second, or before John could put a bullet in her in the second movie, and then the knife to the eye in the third one to a much lesser extent.
Ooh, yeah.
But even that was that latter one was so quick. It was just like, it got him, and then they move on. And
I
I'm
was
like,
really
I'm fine.
ready for it to like switch to the back of his head, so you couldn't see it go in, but they actually went in.
Yeah.
There was a couple scenes where they did put it through the back of their head, but not like up close like that. But from a distance, you could see him put it through right his head.
People are they're okay with full on penetration now.
Yeah.
They busted out some Batman, Dark Knight style. Like, remember how in that movie Batman would just like fade into the shadows?
Right.
Which they started doing. Yeah.
They had guys just come out of the shadows in this movie, and you're like, oh fuck!
And they were actually there the whole time.
Yes, it made perfect sense.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh
man.
And they
some straight ninja shit.
there was a lot of like there's a ballet going on, and I was like, there's probably a lot of symbolism in this movie that I'm not picking up because it has been so long since I watched the last John Wick. And I think part of the reason, I think it's interesting that I have loved this movie so much because I was sort of such a stickler with the second one, and we've talked about this briefly before. You didn't have an issue, as far as I remember, with that suit, and
I accepted it.
yeah, it really ground my gears for the following reason. Not that there aren't bulletproof suits, which there are. When I watched John Wick, the first one, I got the sense. Now, remember, I was still drinking when I watched this, so who really knows? But he was just that fucking good. And part of my love for it, probably the big mainstay, was that, like, I think to that action movie, Jack Ryan or something with Tom Cruise, and he's like doing all this shit, and it's like, how the fuck can he do that? Oh, he's just that good. And he made it in here. But I watched Keanu be that good. They showed me, they didn't tell me. And then he was still vulnerable, but he was good enough to not get completely got. And then in the second movie, they're like, by the way, here's this suit. And
well, it didn't make him immune.
I know, but
he gets gut shot.
It took away a lot of the necessity for the skill that I thought they built up, in my perception, the first one. Because, like, instead of avoiding a situation, having to operate in a way where he, like, can quickly strike and then get out of line of fire, there's one scene in the second one where he, like, shakes the bullets out of his suit, and I'm like, I'd rather him just not.
Well, here's
get shot.
Here's why that didn't bother me. Is because that is part of an arena, right? A protracted one, in which he has to go in, get Ms. D'Antoni, right, kill her, and get out. And this is a member of the High Table, who are, they don't tell you very much about in any of these three movies, except they're like, essentially the highest echelon of this massive criminal underground that everything is taking place in. Which, by the way, one of the other best part about these movies is the world building. It's subtle and it's classy, and it's almost like the inverse of like those movies in some ways are like the inverse of James Bond films. Right, you're really following the bad guy, but you're rooting for him because he's killing worse guys. You know what I mean? He's a murderer. He's a professional. He's a retired, quote unquote, professional murderer, and he's completely fine with continuing to be a mass at this point murderer. To get what he's after. Now, it's not indiscriminate, obviously, but he's not exactly a good guy, and he's almost an anti-hero. So kudos there. But the part where he gets the bulletproof suit, there's also like the little gun commercial with the sommelier, right? Which of course is someone who lets you taste wines, and there were wines in that room, and there's also an armory, and he's going through, and they're doing all these like tongue-in-cheek metaphors, like, I need dessert. Oh, here's the finest stone ground cutlery, and it's just boot knives for him to stab people with. Yeah. Right after he looks at the Benelli M4 shotgun and an AR-15 with a 1x6 variable scope, and like, here's a handgun and a backup for you to try. Couple of Glock Wonder 9s, and it's that whole little montage of him kitting up in Italy for his task to go hunt this member of the High Table, while tongue in cheek and kind of cute in its own right. That's where he gets the bulletproof suit jacket. And it makes, exploring some type of armor option makes perfect sense for him, even though he's this good and doesn't usually get hit by anything, because of what we then see him have to deal with. Like, narrow corridors, overwhelming opposition, he's fleeing. Like, the fact that they then exercised that armor thing in sort of a James Bond Q sort of way. Here's a normal ass looking suit jacket that, by the way, will stop every bullet you're likely to encounter. It's just going to hurt like a son of a bitch. I was prepared to accept this as part of the plan. Like, okay, there's a little bit of sci-fi here with the body armor. Okay, that's fine. What bugged me far more than that is they didn't give him a vest to wear under the suit jacket. So later, when the bounty first happens and everyone's coming after him, many people are, the one woman apparently knows this exists, or it was just convenient for her, lifts the suit jacket out of the way, shoves her pistol into his gut, and shoots twice. And he is bleeding, and is still bleeding through the end of the second movie and into the third. Like, that wound is still there until his shirt eventually gets changed. Like, it doesn't really get properly... Well, no, actually, I don't know if that's true, because I think Lawrence Fishburne picks him up at some point, and then they patch him up. But, like... He didn't even... I had a bigger problem with that oversight. Like, dude, you're going to wear this jacket open, unbuttoned. Like, it's going to be flapping in the wind, and you're going to be presenting your center mass as you're advancing on whoever, right? And they're probably going to have a firearm. Like, just get a vest too, or just something to wear underneath your white shirt. Yeah. Like, it's not... You would have thought of that. See, that's the thing I nitpicked.
Yeah, it's like, and I bring up these criticisms more because it's fun and it's content, but like, I really loved the third John Wick, and I'm overselling my disdain for the dialogue. But I sort of, what I do is in my mind, I have this view. Okay, so this is sort of the movie that I'm watching, right? It's like when I watched Pacific Rim. If I watched that movie again, I'd happily give you a 35-minute segment on how fucking dumb that movie is. Jesus Christ. And somebody's like, wow, it's a monster movie. And I was like, oh, I thought I didn't realize it was supposed to be so fucking campy. And then I went back, I'm like, all right. So I sort of reevaluated it in all the stupid ass things that happened in it. And when it comes to not losing my immersion in these movies, I sort of layer the different things on top of each other. It's like, if it was just the dialogue, I'd be like, all right. If it was the dialogue and the suit and the lag of the vest, that's when I start to go like, ugh, I didn't enjoy that so much. But I really did think that the third one seemed to satisfy everybody in the room, and even me, who there's layers to this shit. I don't know. I just want to say that. But even me, who's like, that suit is preposterous. They kept it, but I think they were so ready to do something new. They tried a lot of new things in this movie, and they kept it there because he has it, but they didn't lean on it hard. And it was such a goddamn accomplishment. Now, is it the pinnacle of American movie production that was over the top, starring Sylvester Stallone? No. I mean, that's probably the greatest movie of all time. But, if John Wick drove a truck, and had to bring his son along for some reason, if he had
really good at arm wrestling.
Yeah, if he arm wrestled one time, I think this would be the greatest movie of all time. But he didn't, and that really upset me.
Wow, poor form.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this much, though, and I'm not going to spoil where the last leg of the movie is,
But here's where here's where I suspend my disbelief, everybody. They're like, let's make these people more so the lights are like off in the building, and then they're like, but seriously, turn off the lights. So then they turn off the lights, and then green lights come on, and then later on they're like, turn on the other lights for some reason, and then like I don't remember what the fuck it was, but like they kept doing all this light work that didn't make any goddamn sense other than it looked fucking lit as shit. And like they go into a mirror room, and up until that point, like, you know, there were like ninja dudes coming out of the shadows. You're like, fuck, he really was there. He could have done that. Now they're like playing games in like a mirror fun house, and the floors are see-through, and these guys are just disappearing.
And they did a bit of that at the end of the second movie too.
And they're like, where did he go? I'm like, I'm pretty sure you would see him. You might see 9 of them, but once he like moves, wouldn't it not be? Whatever. It was sick. They sure did. Like, they sure loved throwing Keanu through glass panes. It did like 20 times.
It became a comedy. Yeah. I think they were doing it for that effect.
Oh my God.
Just like, yeah, we're just gonna just torture this dude and throw him through glass panel after glass panel in rapid succession, and he's gonna be like visibly annoyed, like, please stop it, without actually saying it. And I thought it was fun. I thought it was real fun.
There was something I really enjoyed about I sort of came to a realization after watching this movie of why I like Keanu so much in action movies. And I don't know that he's, you could be like, he was in fucking whatever. Like, I don't know that he's the best dramatic actor. I don't know that he's really great.
He's not at all
at dialogue. Well, I don't know what to say, because, you know, I say some things sometimes and somebody yells at me, you know, and
that's just the world we live in.
Talks to me like I'm really stupid.
Well, it's because you are.
But we've talked about this before, where it's like what they try to do with like tough women in movies. They have them act like a fucking, like, I don't know, Air Force pilot. Yeah, I'm the fucking coolest. Suck my fucking dick. I'm like, that's not how cool people act. And even in like action movies,
like you would know. Let's be real.
He did. And they have this trope with like lead male actors where they're like super cool and super chilled out. Be like, that guy is clearly acting. I'm super receptive to people's. I don't fucking know, but I'm like, that guy's clearly like, he's hamming it up. He's trying too hard to be cool, and it's like one of those things that people can sniff out, right? Oh, yeah. If you act cool but you're not cool, you're like, you're not so cool. Keanu Reeves doesn't have to try to be chill as fuck.
He just
because
is.
That is that dude. Now, am I also becoming a Keanu fanboy? Yeah, because he's like the nicest fucking dude around. You know, I mean, I don't know if he's nicer than Tom Hanks, but
Tom Hanks turned from like your friend's dad who you love going to their house because he'd be so nice to you, to your friend's grandfather who you love. Like, he's just like, he really is.
It's just
like,
such a great father
I'm
figure
really glad he
of
didn't.
some kind.
I'm really glad he didn't end up getting Me Too'd or something, because if they were like, Tom Hanks is actually a sexual deviant, I'd be like, no, there's nothing left.
Well, Bill, let's be real. There's no way that anyone could Me Too him, because every woman wanted to sleep with him anyway. So I
mean, they did. He was Woody.
Yeah.
I mean, after all.
Exactly.
But Keanu doesn't have to act that part. And if you give him something that's not heavy in dialogue, then he is just cool, right? And the other movie I can think of, and I haven't watched enough action movies recently I mean, I don't know what's out of my memory, but I can tell you the other action movie that I thought was really great with a cool person was Driver with Ryan Gosling, right? Almost no dialogue, very little dialogue, and he's just super chill through the whole thing. And that guy, if you ever look at his face when he does stuff, it's just always like the same. I'm like, yeah, dude, he's just cruising. And Keanu's, but I don't know if anybody else can capture that. It works so well in The Matrix, and I'm so glad he stayed in the action genre.
Keanu does the same thing that you just described, except there's enough headroom for him to look frustrated or annoyed or in pain when it's appropriate. So like it'll escalate. Like he's like fucking, this guy's still alive. Like, you know, I fucking have to kill this guy again. You know, like there's little hints of that, and all it does is add.
Yeah.
It's never too much. It's never not enough. It's either like I'm doing this like it's my job because it pretty much is. To okay, my job's getting a little hard right now.
Yeah.
To like okay, I need to really like pay attention here and not fucking die, right? And then it's right back down. Like I'm doing my job.
There's a like even with that line where he goes guns, lots of guns. I'm like, that's like a campy line that I was like, that's fine. I mean, this is a fucking John Wick. Like, okay. I think really what my criticism was sort of with the Halle Berry interaction, and I'm a big fan of Halle Berry, but I guess there's now that I'm ruminating on, I suppose it's the contrast to Keanu's acting style, where like, you know, you can read that he's getting frustrated without like a shitload of indication on his face or whatever. And like, you know, when Halle Berry's character's talking, she's like, her like teeth are showing and her nostrils are flaring. She's like chomping. And I'm like, I think,
I mean, for me again, I think it's just the context.
Yeah.
That she's delivering there. That okay, am I going to say it wasn't overacted at all? No. But it didn't bother me as much as it did.
She was a fucking operator in this movie.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome.
It was unreal.
Oh my god.
The end of that, not the end of the whole thing, but right after the interaction with Bronn from Game of Thrones and his hilarious accent.
Does he try to do a different accent, or
he tries?
He tries.
But he's pretty much just Bronn from Game of Thrones, except now he's in a suit, drinking whiskey, and smoking a cigar. But
oh my gosh.
But spoilers, one of Halle Berry's puppers does take a bullet in the armor, and he's fine because the dogs have armor. But that does kick off the whole fight thing with John and Halle against all these dudes. And at the end of the first wave of it, you know, she looks to John, and John's kind of glowering at her like, why did you start? Because she starts it.
Oh yeah,
because her dog got shot.
He even goes, don't do it.
Don't do it. And she does it, and a bunch of people
Good
die.
for her.
And then you know she's kind of recovering after that first wave, and she's like, he shot my dog, which of course how the whole series started.
Yeah.
And John is just like, I get it. Nailed it. Fucking nailed it. That's exactly how you say those three
Full
words,
circle.
Keanu.
I got to throw some love at Lawrence Fishburne too in this movie. They put him in this like big furry coat, and like they made him into like my favorite kind of huge man who's not like, you know, a muscle bound freakazoid, right? He's like this big dude in a big jacket.
He's a kingpin.
And he's like, and they're like talking to him. He's like, you want to fuck with me? And he's like, oh, okay, so that's how it is. Well, if we've made it this far, then fuck you. Laughs in their face. I'm like, oh yeah, dog. But I think the pinnacle moment that I love the most about like
I'll cram so much fealty up your ass it'll start coming out your mouth.
Yeah. There's, I've never done it on mic. One of these days I'll review my favorite movie, Lawrence of Arabia. But there's a lot of things about that movie that I think perfectly underscore male relationships and sort of the multifaceted dynamic of finding your way as a young man and interacting with peers and blah blah blah.
Yeah, especially if it happens to be in a desert war zone.
Right.
Finding the bussy.
And
It's tough the first few times.
They capture one aspect of that. They capture one aspect of that
Do they?
in this movie. Lawrence
aspect of the bussy.
Lawrence Fishburne's like, what does he say? Like, are you hurting? How you feeling? And then Keanu Reeves, he's like doubled out. He's like laying on the ground. You're like, is he dead? And he just holds up a middle finger right in Lawrence Fishburne's face, and Lawrence is like, like he does that laugh that it's like
when you're
chortle.
12 and you like punch your best friend in the nuts and he's like laying on the ground and you're like, how does that feel? And he flips you off and you're like, yeah, it sucks, doesn't it?
Gotcha.
It reminded me like last weekend when Sean, friend of the podcast, came down to my house and he's helping me work downstairs. And I was trying to work this new joke about like, since I'm fat, I should be allowed to call other people fat. Like it's our word. I was going that way, like trying to work out this material. And he goes, I call people fat all the time. And I was like, no, but it's our word. He goes, I call people fat all the time. And he had a dust mask on, so I couldn't see his mouth. He goes, I call people fat all the time. You fat fuck. And I'm like, oh man. Like, didn't see it coming. I couldn't even see his mouth forming new words because it was covered in dust mask. You fat fuck. Oh, and that was one of those like, you know, oh, you burned me, but I gotta respect you for that. I mean, that was fucking good. I'm glad we know each other. Oh my god. I would see that movie again. I fucking loved it. And you know what? It was amazing that we loved it so much because we were 6 feet from the screen. We were in the front row, which is always a tough watch.
Yeah, we didn't have much. We didn't plan that ahead. But yeah, it was well worth it. And when it becomes available for me to acquire on my own computer, I'll be watching the entire trilogy multiple times over.
Let me know about that.
Over and over and over and over again for the rest of my days. And they're making a chapter 4, and that's going to be
really?
Fuck.
That's going to be
They left
silly.
the door open to that.
Okay.
Like I'm like
Wide
oh, yeah.
open.
Wide open.
Oh yeah, they're pissed. They're both pissed.
I'm pissed. So
See, that's the dialogue that was written by a 3rd grader, but it was delivered by people who had very good reason to be pissed. Delivered effectively
yeah.
by people who were definitely pissed.
Yeah. But,
So it's just like, yeah, no, that's appropriate.
and that's like even my I guess my criticism would be like they could have explained it in a more eloquent way, but they don't fucking need to. You know, because it's
It's not why we're there.
I know.
It's not why we're there.
It's one of those things like they could have. It just seems so easy.
Yeah. So I've also heard like critiques of like, okay, well, why do I care about John killing all these people? You know, okay, the first movie, it's revenge. The second movie, it's the consequences of his revenge. And now it's consequences of consequences. And it's just like, okay, these dominoes keep falling and I'm kind of losing the plot. I, again, have no problem with that because 1, not why I'm here. 2, the dominoes are falling in a logical way. And 3, because these dominoes are falling, it's revealing, and these consequences are occurring, it's revealing more and more of this world. And I have so many questions about this world that they're building, that they're not just you know, plopping someone in front of you or doing a text crawl at the start of a movie, or, you know, they're not trying to bring the audience up to speed with anything. They're letting you experience it in real time and put the pieces together for yourself in a way that is creative and you know, not really, it's lacking in all the right ways. And then those gaps get filled as the movies go on. Like, you know, and we still don't know everything. And that's kind of appropriate because it's a mysterious criminal underworld.
The most unrealistic part of that movie was the CGI dog, not how it looks. It looked great. Very beginning scene, they're about to get in a cab because they have somewhere to be quickly, so they get in a cab in New York. Turns out it doesn't work out. The dog walks across a metal grate. Dogs won't walk on grates. Nope. They won't do it. They hate it. Okay? That was clearly fake dog. Immersion 1,000% lost. 0
I think the impressive part was that a cabbie in New York let a dog get in his cab.
Well, he was also a guy. You know what I'm saying? He was part of the org.
He accepted John's coin.
Yeah. So, I think everybody agrees. Go see it. Gee, if you want to get a ticket and go see it with me again, I'll fucking go. I can't wait till it comes out and we can watch the whole series in a row.
Because I still haven't seen the first 2.
Oh, shit.
Oh, good.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Not like I don't want to. It's just
Yeah, no.
access to it.
You're going to fucking dig it.
They're last I checked on Amazon Prime, they were $4 each to rent the first 2. And then if there's a movie tavern near you on Tuesdays, they have $5, or Marcus Theaters, I guess, because for some reason they put a terrible cringy commercial before every movie for themselves. But whatever, fine. So for the price of one standard movie ticket, you can see all 3 movies currently.
You know, there's a quality to movies where you can see that the actors are clearly trained in the action, and like not even a lot of stuff is happening, but it's still, I find it to be really good. I don't know if everybody else does. What the hell movie was that female UFC fighter? Your girl, Ronda Rousey. She was in some action movie.
She was in a Fast and Furious and one of the Expendables.
Yeah, she was in the Expendables. I saw that one, and she like gets into a fight and like throws an armbar and some other shit and like counters some stuff, and I'm like, it doesn't match the fighting in the rest of the movie, which is big haymakers and fucking shit like that. But I was like, this is exciting because she knows what she's doing. This whole movie had that quality too. I mean, if they put her in the next John Wick, and she's just like she's like an enforcer, and she doesn't talk, and she has to fight John or Halle Berry or something, I'd be all about it because they fucking like, she is trained up. Oh, such a good series. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna rate this movie. I would give it 99 popped kernels out of 100. Potentially popped kernels. Only one kernel unpopped in the whole bag. I thought it was pretty good.
Interesting scale.
All right. I think we have enough time to hit on Chris. You've been getting into.
Let's all hit on Chris.
Shadow of Mordor, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It's real good. If you like the Arkham series, you'll really love this one. They really improved on a lot of things in the fighting mechanics. And it's very satisfying. It's actually making me want to go back. Playing Shadow of War is actually making me want to go back and play the Arkham series now that I'm playing it on PC, because it is way more satisfying.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Just like the mouse with the way that the fighting mechanics work is so great. Like, it's just a lot easier to move the camera because, like, you know, you're tossing these guys all over the place and you're always getting swarmed. So it makes the camera work a lot easier, and it makes it a lot easier for me to isolate who I'm going to attack next. Like, who am I going to dive at? So it's really good in that respect.
And you said you finally making progress because you didn't know what the fuck was going on for a while?
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know if my task was to go and just kill these orc leaders, or if they're like where the story was going. And then like eventually just keep kind of moving along, and then I'm like, oh, hey, okay. So then it really started to come together when I had to fight a war chief, because then I was like, oh, I have to kill all those guys so that fighting this guy doesn't suck as much. Yeah. Because all those like captains will be bodyguarding him.
Whoa!
Yeah, so you have to like go around, get intel from orcs, which you do like this thing where you do like a wraith thing to like their heads. You grab their heads and you interrogate them, and it'll give you like strengths and weaknesses of all these captains, so you learn how to even fight them. Yeah. So like, oh, this guy can't be damaged by arrows, or he'll die in one hit if you light him on fire. So things like that. So you go around doing that, and when you do it, you obviously kill the orc, and you make their head explode.
That's awesome.
He just goes psst, poof.
Late in the first game, you could subjugate them, right? So they become like an agent of you.
Yes, you can do that in the second one as well.
Is the second one, the first one was a goddamn excellent game. Is the second one better?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it looks great too. It's beautiful. The graphics are incredible.
I can't wait till you get through it and give us a full
Yeah,
review.
it's definitely, it's now starting to really suck me in. It's like, now I'm like, okay, I need to go home and sit down and start hitting this, because it's really good. The story's neat. It's pretty much like in the first age, where like everything from like the movies was in like the third age of the Middle Earth. This is happening in the first. And they gave Shelob, the spider, they gave her like a human form.
Oh.
Yes.
And she is
sexy spider lady.
Smoking.
Oh, fuck yeah.
She's black hair, light skin babe, dude.
I really wonder if I could overcome my fear of spiders.
I think I'd.
I mean,
have to.
I guess if you associated her with spiders,
She doesn't have like. Wait, she doesn't have
You'd be
like a
so
spider
afraid of how
ass.
turned on you are.
no, she's got a nice ass though.
Oh, she's not like.
Yeah, it's a human form.
She's not like a furry.
No,
Oh,
no, she's a smoke show.
all right. Well, that's okay
She's
too. I
big.
guess.
Why did they give her a human form?
For dialogue in the story, I guess.
They needed the
Well,
spider
because
talk?
I mean, they do in the actual Lord of the Rings stories. It's actually Shelob's mother teams up with Melkor to destroy the 2 trees of Faranor in. Oh, am I showing my nerd now? You look
No.
like you're judging me
I'm trying
really
to follow.
hard.
I'm trying to follow. It's things I don't know, but I'm trying
There's
to
these
follow.
2
what you're saying.
trees. When you leave Middle Earth to go to the Undying Lands, they were 2 trees.
Okay.
And they were like pretty much like the power of the Arnor, which is like the gods of Middle Earth.
All right.
And they also represented like the sun and the moon because one was yellow and one was silver. And so pretty much Shelob's mother and Morgoth teamed together to destroy those, and it fucked shit up in the first age after that.
How does that make Shelob a spider, though?
Well, because they attacked it as a spider, but they gave her a human form to kind of like explain how they can have dialogue with each other
Okay.
and plan to do this.
I think
Because
we'll just-
Spider-Man, well, not really a man.
I think
but-
we'll have to play the game, and then we can find out.
Yeah, it's
We
real
definitely
good.
got to do a playthrough. I intend to do one with you of this series because you like the Arkham series so much.
Yeah, Arkham was good.
So speaking of
If
that,
you like Arkham, you'll
interesting
love this.
things. Lisa a while ago, months ago, bought a PS4 off of one of her friends on the cheap. Today I'm getting a pretty decent another 4K TV delivered to my new place that's going to go in the living room. I'm going to bring over that PS4
Hell yeah.
to put in the living room over there. And probably at some point tonight I'm going to go over to GameStop and I'm at least going to pick up Detroit Become Human.
Yes.
Maybe
And this game was made for you because
Yes.
you're a robot.
maybe Horizon Zero Dawn and The Last of Us.
Man, you're in for a treat.
Yeah. I've never played The Last of Us, and I know the second one is coming out within like a year or two, I
It's
think.
soon, yeah.
Like late 2019, maybe 2020. So definitely want to play the first one. That might go first just because everyone I know raves about that game, that it's one of the best games ever made.
It goes
And
on it goes on Steam sale quite a bit.
Well, I think I could pick it up used because the game's like 4 or 5 years old at this point, right? I'm pretty sure I could pick it up used at GameStop for like $10.
So that sounds great. Also, one more note about John Wick. I thought the gun sounds were really well done.
Oh, incredibly well done.
The whole sound, the music, the sound engineering,
Excellent.
everything was like super on point. Everything about the movie was not only like, it was just really well done. It was like the Game of Thrones episodes where like you could say what you want about the story, but the stuff that is on film that makes a TV show great outside of, the actual story that they're trying to tell was done as best as you possibly could.
And I have a big announcement for the podcast, I suppose. I am going to be a guest on an actual radio show
Oh.
next week. Yep. A friend of a friend. They run the show. It's called Crash and Burn. You can look it up on Spreaker.com, Spreaker, and they have a show from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Monday nights. And they broadcast on the University of Delaware radio station. And these guys, their story's pretty cool. They literally started in like a shack, broadcasting over FM radio, and
iRadio.
they had like 2 listeners, and they've progressed all the way to this point. And
Sounds familiar.
Genevieve's friend put me in contact, and like, Bill's kind of a funny guy, and maybe you can talk about rugby or something. So they're gonna have me in studio on Monday, and
Nice.
I'm pretty stoked. I might have to mention our
Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
all right, we'll catch you on the flip side for the Steam sale. Sell. Steve Sell. Steve Sell. Steve Sell. Steve Sell. Steve Sell. Steve Sell. All right, we're getting started. Okay, first one, Planet Coaster. Did you know the first Roller Tycoon game was written like mostly by? It was written by one guy and like
assembly language.
In assembly.
What does that mean?
It's like
you type in ones and zeros basically.
Yeah, it was.
Oh.
In really good mechanics. Anyway, I guess Planet Coaster
Why it
is
never
just,
crashed.
Yeah. Planet Coaster is probably that 70% off if you're into railroad. No, not railroad tycoons. Roller coaster tycoons. You probably give this a try.
Let's take a look at the Larian Studios sale there. This could be it right here.
Oh,
Baldur's Gate, Divinity.
So I recently bought Divinity Original Sin 2. I think I reviewed it. I didn't get to play too much of it because I'd only bought it a little bit earlier that day, and I played a couple hours of it. I've been saving it because you can do local co-op.
Oh yeah.
So
Snoogans.
yeah, it's pretty sweet. But I'm waiting for Lisa to get back to play a little bit more of it. So we could play together.
Divinity Original Sin for $12. Divinity 2 for $27. That ain't fucking bad. Is the original Baldur's Gate on here?
I believe it was.
It's
3.
probably. I guess not.
They have to have it on here.
God, if it's.
I can't wait for Baldur's Gate 3. I love the Baldur's Gate games. I don't own them anymore because I had like disc copies for my old computer when I lived with my parents, and they're long gone. See, look at the Baldur's Gate game came out in like what 2003. Oh, this is the enhanced edition that came out, but the original game came out I want to say like 2003, 2004, and the enhanced edition is still $20, and people still pay for it because it is amazing.
I was playing Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, and my Xbox caught on fire, and that's probably the biggest heartbreak. I didn't get to finish that game. I played through the first 12 hours of that like 3 times.
And like maybe I'm just biased because I very much do enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, but for me, in terms of video games at least, the Forgotten Realms is definitely, for me, by far the best setting of all of the fantasy settings that people have come up with for video games. I don't know why they don't make more games in the Forgotten Realms.
It is also like the way the armor and magic and shit works in that series.
Yeah.
It's so, I just think it's so excellent.
Yeah, but think like if for those who have played Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, like those are all incredible games that take place in the Forgotten Realms. Many of which like they semi have rules loosely based around one of the Dungeons and Dragons editions, but there aren't that many games out there that get set for whatever reason in the Forgotten Realms, probably because Wizards charges a buttload of money to license all that shit to you if you want to do that. I wouldn't be surprised. But, I mean, the history that they have and the lore they have around that it's like even more involved than Tamriel in the Elder Scrolls series, but they have remained pretty consistent over the past 30 years that they've had the Forgotten Realms, or however long it's been, as opposed to Bethesda, which continually seems to retcon shit all the time.
Yo, okay. What's this Subsurface Circular 50% off for $3? When the truth is buried, go underground. Step into this new take on text-based adventure from the award-winning team behind Thomas Was Alone and Volume. All right, if it's not from the genius that made Her Lie I Try to Believe, I don't care.
I don't think it is.
However, it's overwhelmingly positive. Is this like a robot dating sim?
Frank!
What? Oh, it's the story of Frank in high school. Overwhelmingly positive and very positive recently. It literally is just...
It's just two robos talking right now.
It's a conversation, yeah.
All right, I don't know.
See what the stranger wants. Okay, so there's a quest.
Mayhap
Is this just like teaching you how to talk to someone?
for $3 maybe.
They're using it for their machine learning algorithm.
I bet. And they're making you pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it looks pretty sharp, given that they're not doing all these over the
For
top.
$3, it looks incredibly sharp.
Yeah.
If you can't robo bang, then I'm not
Maybe that's
interested.
another subject you have to bring
Look
up.
at that. Subsurface Circular extracts maximum entertainment from limited resources.
Wow.
That just sounds
Great writing, excellent pacing,
That- I
sparkling
mean-
dialogue,
Sounds like
bang
a
on
good
story beat.
masturbation
from
session.
Polygon.
Looks like a story game. Very highly rated across all the big
Video
ones.
gamer said.
All the feedback up here is thumbs up across the board. Like, okay,
Damn, okay.
it could be $3 well spent if you're after a story. From the look of it,
Monaco Tooth and Tail. This must be a
Yeah.
developer thing. I played Monaco before,
Let's see what.
and it's a pixel art like team game. I think you can play alone, but its vision is like what the hell is it called? Hotline Miami. The movement
So-
stuff reminds me of Hotline Miami, but you have different characters that you can play co-op with over the internet with your friends, like through Steam or whatever. And you all have different abilities, and you're trying to escape a prison. I only got through like one level. It didn't really hook me, and it doesn't seem to be on sale. But this Tooth and Tail,
Yeah, what's that about?
85% off for $3.
$3 down from 20.
Lead the revolution with an army of flame-throwing boars, mustard gas-lobbing skunks, and paratrooper puking owls. Tooth and Tail is a real-time strategy game featuring single-player, online competitive, split-screen, replays, and more. Build a base, lead your army, eat your enemy. So this is like a fun version, like an animal version of Age of Empires.
Not a fan of the art style.
It's freaking me out. This looks like a horrible, like Czechoslovakian kids cartoon.
I don't know if I'll be intrigued enough to buy it because RTSs are not my thing, but
It's interesting.
the art isn't really putting me off. It's kind of like
God, it looks like it could be a mobile game though.
it
It
does.
does. Yeah, very much so.
I mean, I've bought, I've spent $1.50 on Steam sale games that looked worse than
It
this.
looks like something that was meant for kids, but the execution went horrifically wrong
I
somewhere.
don't think it went horrifically wrong. What are
Yo.
you talking about? This looks fine.
I mean, like, it was supposed to be for kids, but then they took it a little too far.
Okay.
This basically looks like somebody's new version of Age of Empires.
Yeah, I don't know. If it's your sort of thing, you're looking for
StarCraft.
a spin on it and something still violent but lighthearted, I would.
It looks okay. What's the price on it again?
$3 right now.
Okay. Might be worth it. That's interesting.
Full price at 20, not so much, but
No.
3.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It has good reviews.
It's
and
interesting.
A lot of good reviews. So okay, it looks like it could be pretty fun.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a waste of $3.
I'd rather play Civ probably.
Sure. It also doesn't
And
look.
that's the problem. Like,
But
It also
there's no
doesn't look like it'll
animals.
drag your system like Civ will. So.
yeah, that's true.
Borderlands: The Handsome Collection. No price here. Let's see what we're dealing with. Oh, nope, I am not an infant. Thank you.
97% off?
Oh my god.
What?
For how-
$1?
Wow.
Down from 200. Wait a minute.
Wait, the whole thing.
Borderlands 2 DLCs, 1 million DLCs.
Approximately.
Oh my God, so many. They're still going.
I think this is an error.
It could be, and
Take
I
advantage.
might just do that. Shock Drop Slaughter Pit. Is it only?
You save
wait.
$93.76.
What on earth?
If you buy
don't know
them
how
like
you
that,
can't
if you
buy
buy
it.
the whole thing, you save $250 million.
I've never played the Borderlands games, and I mean, lots of people love them.
I've played a little bit of the first one. It definitely benefits from having friends to play with. And by the time I picked up the game, most of my friends had stopped playing it. So I was like, but they're fun first-person shooters with some, the big gimmick was randomized weapons. Like you could get
Yeah, that's
like no playthrough would encounter the same equipment drops
Fallout 4 tried to go a minimal amount of the same way.
as they did on many fronts on that game, which
Yeah.
was not fully exploring the idea. It was just, we're going to put this in and not fully flesh it out. But this is arguably where that idea stemmed from. Even if and the idea probably came around before that too, but this was but the first Borderlands, the big gimmick was random guns. Like there's one. I think they literally said something like 2 gazillion possible combinations of weapons and effects and stuff. Meh. $6 down from $229 and change for what I presume is everything in the IP. I might do that just to say I did it. Like, holy shit. Get in my cart.
Then you own it all.
Holy fuck, it's everything.
Hang on. All right. Let's go. That's on my wish list. Sorry. Where is the cart? That is hilarious. Includes 50.
That's everything.
Now it does look like it's only Borderlands 2 though.
No, there's Borderlands the pre-sequel down at the bottom there.
The pre-sequel.
Jesus Christ, this is Earth.
That's $6. Hurry up and take my money. Anyway.
Yo, there's a Borderlands game that I think Telltale made. It's pretty legit. I wonder if that's on there too. Okay, Clay. We get Clay.
Not Clee.
Clay.
Clee.
I wonder if you could play Borderlands the Detention Center.
Oh
Okay,
my
we've seen
goodness.
some of these before.
Yeah.
Don't Starve, Hamlet, $250. I haven't bought it yet. I should just buy it.
Don't Starve Together, Mark of the Ninja Remastered.
I've played Crypt of the Necro Dancer. That's pretty fun.
Shut up. Darkest Dungeon, $750. If you haven't bought that game yet and played it, get it. I still haven't beaten that fucking game because it broke my spirit because it's super hard. I'll go back to it, but that is a great game. Darkest Dungeon worth every goddamn penny. And if you could get the sequel on sale, that's worth it too. Oh shit, this is it. Ancestral Edition.
1872.
Yeah.
Fuck
yeah.
Bunch of DLCs.
Get ready to be very frustrated though.
Neat.
Awesome.
Good options. There's lots
Viking
of good.
Squad.
Lots of pretty good options, and then there's this one, Oxygen Not Included,
That
Quality
was
of Life. Was that part of
part
this
of it,
one?
yeah.
That was like a Billion Mandy thing.
I guess that wraps it up then. Interesting spread today.
Yes.
Interesting
Lots of good stuff.
spread.
This is a better than usual Steam sale.
I'm gonna go
very
first
different.
Okay.
and just say that for no reason other than the comical price, Borderlands the Handsome Edition for $6 is for 52 pieces of Borderlands material is it wins by default by being just silly for me.
All right, dog. I'm getting Borderlands and Subsurface Circular and Tooth and Tail.
I'm
And
buying everything.
and whatever I can get from that Kalai series related to Darkest Dungeon that I don't have yet. Okay, I'm going out. I'm going in.
Do it.
Do it.
Get in there. Get that bus. Get that bus.
Stop it. You're canceled.
Cancelled. Borderlands. Duh. Idiot.
We could all play together.
We could do this.
I like this.
I'm gonna go with probably anything and everything in the Clee. Clay.
I think you really
It could be Clay.
Clee.
The
It could be trying to be clever.
Hill developer sale.
Nothing. If I had to pick something here, I have a hard time going against $6 for all that stuff for Borderlands.
Yeah, it wins by default.
Yeah, it's a stupid amount of content for $6. Obviously, though, I'm going to go out and buy Horizon Zero Dawn and The Last of Us Remastered today, and probably also Detroit Become Human.
Yes.
But we're talking about
for-
Steam sale, Frank.
I know. But
Steam
but
sale.
I
Become
honestly
Human.
might pick up the Borderlands too because it's $6 and I spend more than that on takeout like 3 nights a week. So.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining us again. Sorry to leave you hanging for a month. I know you were waiting with bated breath, but it feels really good to be back. Check out the Crash and Burn Show on Spreaker, Spreaker. They're also available on iTunes podcasts, Crash and Burn Show, based out of Newark, Delaware. If you can listen to the radio, I should be on the show on Monday as long as nothing bad happens, and we'll see how that goes. Additionally, I found a new podcast I really like, Your Mom's House, YMH, Tom Segura, and Christina Pajitsu. Very, very funny. It's like it's like Joe Rogan's show if it was all humor and no politics. And
that's it. We got other big things coming up on the podcast, and I'm going to reveal it, on our next episode. But until then, don't forget to never not, but rockin', baby.